You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back with another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Well, it is MLK Day. My fraternity brother, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who is clearly no longer with us, but is still amongst us in his spirit. This is the day, right? It's still a federal holiday. It's still a day that acknowledges him. And on this lovely Monday, we take a day off, most of us, to reflect on the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy. And it is, still an important day. It still matters. I think a lot of people will pull out the quotes and do all that. They'll talk about nonviolence and skip over the radicalism of this man's legacy. But in all honesty, this is a day to really reflect on how you're showing up beyond yourself. How do you, think about social justice? How do you feel about standing up and being humanitarian? What does that look like to you, right? And so I typically use moments like this to reflect, a day like this to reflect. I mean, I do often. You would argue every week on this podcast, but I think on a day like this specifically, it is a day to reflect. And, I'm not teaching today, of course, because it is an off day at CCP and many other colleges and universities and workspaces. But there's a time to reflect. And as a Black person, am I doing a day of service? No. Because for so many of us, we're doing service on a regular basis, but also there's level of labor. A couple of years ago, I wrote a piece for Philadelphia Magazine talking about Black people should not do performing labor on MLK Day. And I still stand by that. I do think it is a day to rest and to reflect or to do what you choose to do. If you want to do community service, if that's what you want to do, then by all means, you should have the freedom to do that. But the obligation, the need to perform that kind of labor, I've never really been crazy about it. I think ever since I graduated from college, I really did not do much. And I would say, look, as someone whose work is really a part of that public service, right, to inform the public, I just always felt like it was time for me to just rest and reflect. This is a Black man who dedicated his life. He did not make it to be 40. He was assassinated at the age of 39. He gave most of his life to work like this. And I wonder, what did rest look like for him? Like, what does it look like to reflect? And so many people want Black bodies, those who are intellectual, those who are wise, those who are studious and productive, all things. There's so much of a demand for us to feel like we have to do something. We have to respond. It's, I get sometimes annoyed sometimes when people will tell me this phrase, "Oh, I was waiting on you to say something." And I think in some ways the anticipation makes sense because the work that I do sometimes require that level of anticipation. But then sometimes I wonder, when it comes to certain issues, rather than wait on someone who isn't your elected official or your designated leader to do said task, to respond to something, what is your response? What are your thoughts? I understand the role that I play, that I can be influential in shaping hearts and minds about issues, right? I can provide information and facts and findings that will then drive a conversation. I get that. But sometimes I think that people will use others to not only think for them, but to have the courage to do the things that they will still not do. Inspiration is one thing, right? Aspiration is another. But I do think what's so important about Dr. King's legacy is that it wasn't enough for people to just look at him and be inspired and just be, you know, like, oh, wow, he's great. And I admire him and fan. People were looking at and listening to what he was saying, and it motivated them to take action. If simply telling a person, I like what you're saying, I agree with it, and you have not changed your own actions, it means nothing. And so I find myself in situations often with white liberals and progressives that love to sprinkle and splash praise on Black voices like mine and say, oh, you're so brave, you're so courageous. And I have, many years ago when I was, you know, starting out, I think in a high profile way, a lot of people were very much, just really complimentary, saying all the things about, oh, this is great. You're doing good. And I like this and I like that. And it's like, well, thank you. But I didn't care because it just, for me, was like, well, what are you going to do with this information, right? Is it going to inspire you to actually stand up to white supremacists around you? Is it going to make you interrogate your own racial bias in your everyday life? Is it going to motivate you to just be more thoughtful and considerate of others? What is this going to do beyond the simple admiration of it all? And I think so many people find themselves in situations where the admiration is where it starts and stops for them. And so, if anything, take the leadership, the courage, and the sacrifice and the work of other people and use that to inspire you to progress in a different type of way. If you just simply just as fangirling or fanboying and then going back to business as usual, you're not doing it right. And even for myself, as someone who is Black, I've seen civil rights leaders as people who've inspired me, writers, creators, some politicians, not as many in the modern era, but it inspires me to think about other ways that I can be a better person. And that's just as a Black person doing that. But I think so many people often think that just simply giving compliments and fangirling and fanboying and praising is enough. And that's not just white liberals who do that. There's some in the community that I feel like think that giving critique on how people can do it, that's another pet peeve of mine, is people that feel like they need to give feedback around how I show up in a courageous way when they're not doing a damn thing near it. Oh, I see what you're doing. You should do this and this. Don't give me any notes if you're not going to stand on the sidelines with me. And I really say that. I'm really dead ass. Like, I can't tell you, one of my biggest pet peeves has been people who, from various racial identities, not just white people, but just even some Black people, where some of many older who will be on the sidelines somewhere. They'll be somewhere in their own little echo chamber, their own circle, their own network, and they will see individuals like myself that are taking risks, that are speaking up, that is having courage, that are doing the necessary work to help enact change. And they will be critical and say things like, oh, well, you need to say it like this. They're coaching. But it's almost like, well, I didn't, number one, ask for your coaching. But two, come here and join me in this work. Or how are you supporting? But if you're just simply giving critiques while you continue to engage with the status quo, I don't trust your behavior. I don't trust your feedback. I find it it can be potentially oppish. And I also think it's cowardly. And so I have found through time that I can hear people's opinions, but I'm mindful about the source and how much should I assess. I think feedback and opinions and things can come from different people, and sometimes it can give a spark, but I'm very mindful about how much I weigh certain feedback or individuals who's giving it based on how they're showing up in this space. And I even think about that when it comes to like inspiration, right? You can have people that will give you career advice, but you got to look at who's giving that career advice. Is this somebody that you respect? Is this somebody that you can look at their decisions and go, you know what, they've been through the fire. They've been through some tough times. They've made some achievements. Or is this just somebody who might be privately, you know, insecure, or they're projecting, or they're, you know, in some cases could be jealous. Like, where is the basis of this coming from? And so I think I have learned to be more introspective, not to just be dismissive and defensive, but to just really balance and look at the sourcing of things. And now more than ever, I think in this age that we're in, the information age, right? The way that we're looking at the digital age and all the things, I think that matters so much in more ways than one, right? Like, where are you getting these messages from? Like, people are getting so hype about these AI videos, and no one's looking at these Instagram accounts to realize that, you know, generated video that got that black accent, or that video who's telling you some health advice, is actually an account coming from Russia. That is, well, you can probably sense it's AI. Some people can't even tell AI videos nowadays, but the source of the origin of that account is from Russia, or some random country that you can't pronounce and can't find on a map, but you're trying to give it weight in a conversation. Like, no. And so now we need to look at the source of things in our actual human interactions, and even online, right? And, you know, in journalism is always a term, check the source. We got to do that. Check the source in all aspects of our life. And MLK is a source that, and as a leader, is someone that has been reliable. Later on Monday evening, I will be giving a speech, a keynote speech at Wilson College. I'm giving the MLK Day keynote speech, which is an honor, on this concept of infinite hope. And the quote that Dr. King had said famously was, "We must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope." And this wasn't blind optimism, but it was a spiritual and political conviction, right? And a belief in humanity, that we have this capacity to be good, even when sometimes immediate progress can feel impossible. The spirit of what that quote means, and the origin of it, is so important and so necessary. And yeah, it's a great time. And I'm so excited. I'll be down there in Wilson College. I can't even, like, this area in Pennsylvania. It's near Harrisburg, but it is in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. And I'll be staying overnight. It's a private liberal arts college. They came around 1869. That's when they were founded. And they got veterinarian, equestrian, and environmental sciences. They're a very interesting school, but they have a history. They have a deep history. For starters, the campus was originally a part of a property once owned by a Civil War era newspaper editor. Yeah. It's very interesting. So I'm looking forward to going to the campus. I'm going to take a train down to Harrisburg, and then take an Uber to the area, because there's no direct location. Chambersburg, I think it is. There's no direct like stop on Amtrak. I don't know if I said SEPTA. I guess it may be PACO, I don't know. But I'm taking an Amtrak. So there's a lot. It's going to be a very busy Monday, but I'm just grateful and honored to be able to do public speaking events and get paid to do public speaking amongst everything else I'm doing, and to be able to give an MLK keynote, because, I got to say, like, most of the keynotes that are done across the country, a lot of times it's always like these like older cishet black men that get to do them. And so to, be young and queer and have a different type of voice, not the typical like civil rights activist, lawyer, or, someone that's like with doctor in front of their name, is an honor. And shout out to them. Shout out to my team. Shout out to my agent for getting me booked. And yeah, I'm excited to inspire these incredible students and faculty at Wilson College. Speaking of which, my first week at CCP, back to CCP for spring semester, was quite fun. I mean, it was a lot going on. I subbed. This is my first time ever. I substituted a course for another professor in my department. And one of the things that I have realized, the big topic, which shouldn't surprise anyone, is the real conversation around AI. Like, AI is a thing. I mean, we know this already, but like the ways in which students are grappling with policies. Like, my courses have an anti-AI policy. Like, we do not do chat GPT, what's Claude and Gemini. We don't do any of that. There's AI detection software through Canvas that students cannot, use. We have the detection software, but they cannot use AI for certain courses. Now, there are some professors and other people that are like treating AI as if, like, oh, we need to embrace it. We need to do whatever. Here's my thing. And there are some people, and I'm not going to name names, but there are some people that I'm a little surprised by, like Black advocates in Philly that are trying to, I guess, make a name for themselves. They found their next their next hobby. I mean, their next level expertise. And now AI is the thing they jump on. And there's certain people where, again, I'm not going to name names, but like in Philly, I always feel like there's always like a hustle. And we talked about this in last week's episode about, just like Philly. And it's not just Philly, but this is the city I live in, so this is what I can talk about. But people who will always find that new hustle. I remember there was cryptocurrency. Everybody was on the whole cryptocurrency. And then those guys kind of disappeared, right? Then there was real estate, which still is around. But there was a big movement to like, ooh, sell, property. And some people, understand that, and some people don't. I remember there was like the co-working space, transform things to event space, venue space era, where everybody wanted to turn everything into a co-working space, an event venue space, and then flip things out. And that was a moment, right? And there's always like these grifts. And now I feel like everyone wants to act like they're some AI expert or they know something about AI and they want to just go around telling people this. And when you hear them talk about it, they sound like robots. They're doing all these little fancy panels, but they're not really saying anything that's sophisticated. And it's also like they're just running around just trying to just latch themselves on the anti-gun violence moment, right? There's all this work around anti-gun violence. Everybody wanted to be a gun violence expert and jump on that bandwagon and get some grant money. But I just notice these trends and these hustles and these grifts where everyone tries to like ship on their company or organization to whatever the trend is to stay afloat. It's just disappointing. It's disgusting. It's tacky. And no one's going to say that out loud because everyone's so afraid. But then when people get fucked over and screwed over, like, look, I am very cynical about AI. I understand it exists. I understand that it is embedded in our world. But the generative AI, I think that's more of it. Like, I understand AI, artificial intelligence has been with us for a long time, right? So it's almost like there's no way of denying it, right? I mean, Siri, all the things, right? But I would say specifically generative AI, what it is doing to our environment, what is it doing to creativity? It's disgusting. It's theft. And I don't know if I talked a lot about this, but a lot of authors, and I'm going to speak on this because there was that massive AI book settlement, and a lot of people don't talk about it. But I don't know if you know about this, but last year there was an AI company called Anthropic. A group of authors and publishers basically accused them of pirating books to train the Claude AI model without people's permission. And pretty much it was a lawsuit, landmark, a $1.5 billion class action settlement. And now they need to provide compensation. They're saying roughly around $3,000 per book to authors for their rights, right? And they need to destroy. They're authorized to destroy. So they're going to have to pay $1.5 billion in this class action lawsuit, one of the largest, copyright settlements in U.S. history. And it clarifies that training on illegally obtained data isn't covered by fair use. So just like if you thought that you could use creative, copyrighted material and obtain data on that for anything related to AI, that is not legal. It's not fair use. You cannot do it. And so for all of these people running around promoting these data systems, they're getting slapped with massive lawsuits. You are basically indulging in the theft of human creativity. And so for a lot of people that have then jumped in this AI conversation and trying to praise it for helping and be a resource, it's being a resource off of theft. And for a lot of Black people and Black and brown folks, we understand cultural appropriation and theft of Black art, of words, of concepts and ideas. How dare you sit around here and act like it could be a tool in that type of way to help our people when it's fucking up the environment and the water supply in marginalized communities? And it's also targeting Black vernacular and faces. So to try to now push it, when are y'all going to stop being step and fetch it for every single company that comes? And I'm very distrustful of folks that run around here pushing and just jumping on bandwagons. Like, it's like every time I turn around, there's certain people I'm looking like every single time I turn around, you want a new thing. Everyone using the word, oh, I'm doing tech, I'm doing STEM. Dude, what, in what way, right? You're working with some company that gave you some cute little bag, and now you're going into Black communities, acting like you're a fucking messenger and telling us something that isn't necessarily good for us. I'm curious, where are the conversations to protect Black writers and creators or women or LGBT? Like, where are those messengers in our community to protect our intellectual property? Where are those conversations? Where are the conversations to protect communities and environments? Because let me tell you something right now, in Pennsylvania, Governor Shapiro, okay, wants these data, he wants them to come across Pennsylvania. And where are they going to go? He wants that. He really do. Low key, this governor is sitting around advocating on the low of he wants these data centers to expand because of the economic benefits it will bring to the state. Economic benefits that will be environmental harm and pollution in Black and brown communities, because that's where they're going to go. Don't think they're not going to put one in West Philly, or matter of fact, North Philly. Don't think that our city council people won't sell us out. You've seen them already do it with the arena. What's the compromise? Put one of them little data centers around here. Look, all of these vacant landmines that people can't figure out what to do with that property, all these little vacant banks and stuff, what do you think they're going to do with those? You heard it here. Start thinking. That's going to be a site. Schuylkill River, water supply, stay woke. Just saying. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But I have a sense that that's the bullshit, because this is how they operate. And then they'll pretend like they don't know. They'll tell us all these economic benefits it's going to bring. They'll make a little plug that is going to help support public schools. Well, listen, if you're going to pollute the water, fuck up the environment, create havoc for these communities in so many different ways, dumb them down, and put them in a position where that degree that they might be striving to get will be virtually worthless in the next couple of years. Yeah, I don't want that over here in my neighborhoods. I don't want it in nearby communities that I care about. And go send it somewhere else. There's still not clean water in Flint. Just saying. So there's a lot of copyright issues. There's a lot of creative issues with AI. And I'm having these conversations with my students. And to the people out here that want to talk about, they're going to these AI conferences and they're doing all these talks about how we should embrace it as this tool for innovation, stop it. It's lazy. Using AI to write articles is lazy. You didn't have to do it 10 years ago. It's lazy. Making it produce all these images for you and graphics, it's lazy. They're ugly enough. And you know what's funny? It's not even young people like obsessing over AI. I'm seeing the grandmas, the grandpas, the older uncles, the Gen Xers are losing their mind with it. Like, it's horrific. Like, some of the things I'm seeing people make, it's like, this is weird. And you all are just giving information away. The young people, the funny thing is they're using it in ways to like pretty much plagiarize. And the crazy part about it, which is fucked up about the way in which they're using AI, is that You can't teach people how to embrace AI if they can't even embrace their own godforsaken talents to actually know how to read, write, and comprehend. Where are the critical thinking skills? How do you train young people to embrace technology that can arguably replace their ability to have critical thinking skills and think that they can walk and chew gum at the same time? So I'm supposed to teach a student how to embrace AI, but I can't even get them to write a complete sentence and write a paper and write coherent sentences. Make it make sense. I would rather focus on them learning how to actually write a paragraph before I even get them thinking about how to do an outline with AI. It just don't make sense. Like, two things can't be true. We can barely get people in Gen Zers to embrace reading books and writing coherent sentences and actually writing papers that require their own independent thinking. And we're supposed to believe that they can do that and then do AI at the same time. Hell, a lot of you have lost your way. Oh yes, let's call it out. A lot of people that I know that are working in the workplace have gotten so lazy, they let AI do everything for them. And you can tell with these corny emails, right, that's being drafted, letters being drafted, bullet points being drafted. Like, I mean, it's ridiculous. The codependency. We're seeing grown-ass adults that are actually people who got degrees. They're starting to use ChatGPT for every goddamn thing. And they think they're slick. Like, you can read it, words that they can't even pronounce. They can't even say expeditiously. They're saying all types of words that don't even make sense and out of context. And so I think the crazy part is that they have some guilt and some shame behind using it, that now they want to normalize it. No, you never had it. You never had that talent. You weren't as good. So now you want to pretend you're good. It's a facade. Everyone wants to make shortcuts. And here's the thing about shortcuts. Someone's getting cut. I mean, that's how a shortcut works. Someone's getting cut. You're cutting a line, someone's getting fucked over. So in these types of hacks, quote unquote, someone is getting fucked. You got to figure out who. Your community, creators, writers, folks who do the work that you claim that you're caring about. Nah, miss me with that. Miss me with that. Look, if you're trying to say, look, finding ways of AI to cure cancer. Remember that was a whole argument with open AI? Wasn't that what Sam was saying? Was like, oh, we're working to cure cancer, do this research. We haven't heard that much about the advancements of AI to help cure cancer. I'm not saying it's not work being done. It might be. But I've noticed that the health advancement argument with AI, we're hearing less of that and more of this other shit that we don't need. Stay woke. I've been talking to my students about it. I am creating curriculum. And I got to say that this is a collaborative effort, right? We tell students, don't use AI for everything or whatever. Don't be codependent. That's true. But here's my note for professors, managers, people like that. Create environments where students won't be as tempted. A lot of my assignments for my courses, I would argue, was almost ChatGPT proof. I mean, you could use it, right? And you will get an F, because the way in which my assignments make students do less codependency on simple prompts, right? So some of the things that I have done is I will put every single prompt, like every single thing I prompt, I put it in ChatGPT, some of it, and I will tease out, like I will send my son and say, let me tell you something right now. This been ran through ChatGPT. If I see any similar language, paragraphs, phrases that looks like these statements, you will get an F. But here's the funny part. Most of my assignments requires personal anecdotes and experiences related to the course. So if you send me a response that does not address or say anything that's related to the course materials, terms I've spoken on, address it, you're going to get an F. Now, here's the thing. I will have an initial conversation. You'll get a warning. I do believe in grace. But after that, if you're going to let ChatGPT, I'm going to give ChatGPT the A and you're going to get the F. The joke is you're going to get the F because I'm only grading humans in this class. So we got to create a culture where we encourage the good behavior. It's almost like, dang, I couldn't even use ChatGPT if I wanted to. You're right. You're damn Skippy. You need to be able to incorporate your independent thinking and thoughts. That means professors need to make more courses where you can apply the things you read and learned into the work that you're doing. It needs to be applicable. Textbooks, all the things, notes, all that stuff is fine. But now take the knowledge and show me that you can demonstrate what you're doing. If assignments are simply basic topic things, no personal appeal, no actual formatting that you're instructing, then the class can teach itself. Now, for my courses, that's what I do. Now, there's some things where you can't get away with that, right? There's some assignments that you just have to make the thing, right? But try as much as possible to make your major assignments, make the assignments that count be personable, right? Make it go into that flow. If students can skate in your entire class on AI, then I think, in my opinion, you're not a good professor. There's no way that a student can use ChatGPT and pass my class. That they could just not show up to class and they can do assignments and papers with ChatGPT and pass my class. There's no way. That's what I mean by having a ChatGPT proof course. That some students might use it for an outline on their own, for their own assignments, personal outlines. But as far as the actual paper and the work and the assignments and the projects that we do in the class, there's no way that you can use ChatGPT and pass my class. No way. I've sat down and have created 1,000 different ways to make my class work. That's what it means to be an educator. That's what it means to be a leader. You want to prevent a problem, make it harder for them to break the law. Entice people and incentivize people to show up and use their critical thinking skills. That's just, what do I know? I've just been a professor for a couple of years. I don't know. I've just seen some things. I don't know. I hear professors around the country talking about something. It's so hard. It's not hard. Get off your ass, change the syllabus, mix up your assignments, get to work. Okay? The same assignments that you did 5, 10 years ago that you still doing now, you're going to have to dust that off. And you're going to have to do some new things. You're going to have to do some new things. And people out here using ChatGPT to do their syllabus and their course assignments. That's ridiculous. Sorry, it is. How you going to set the example for your students if you're doing this shit too? They can see through that shit. Get it together. Get it together. That's just where I'm at with it. Speaking of research and education, Dr. Parks, my bestie, Mr. Johnson and I went to Baltimore to celebrate her birthday. She had a birthday. She turned 35. And she had a birthday at this Black-owned rooftop spot called Topside, which was really fun. We had brunch there, but they're a part of a hotel, and it's a Black-owned experience in Baltimore. But the spot is called Topside. Is where we went. It was rooftop. It was pretty. It was snowing a little bit on Saturday, but the experience we had was beautiful. It was really great, and great time. Great food. It's Hotel Revival. That's the name of the hotel, Hotel Revival. So it's a Black-owned experience. Food was affordable. They do bottomless mimosas there. Shout out to them. I'm going to tease the man. I'm going to tease my friend and be like, they had no blood orange and passion fruits, but they had cranberry, pomegranate, and orange and grapefruit. And so we had a pomegranate one, and then we did the basic orange one. It was great. Great food, good time, good food, good friends. Of course, Joe was there. A lot of y'all was in my DMs. That woman, Dr. Parks, is engaged to be married to a good man, okay, named Joe. And I'm going to let y'all know that right now. All that little comments, who was that, this, that, third. Cut it out. Keep it classy, okay? She has been off the market for quite some time. And there was a time when she was looking for Mr. Right. And before she found Mr. Right, a lot of y'all was Mr. Not Get Right. So she's off the market. So don't be doing all that. See, that's why it be hard for me to tag people. Because people are like, oh, you don't tag people. Because when I tag people, y'all get a little frisky. Y'all get a little extra. And then what's funny is I find out from her, because she'll tell me, do you know so-and-so? This is your mutual. And I'm like, oh, God, not again. And y'all think y'all slick. Y'all just be thinking liking 5 pictures in a row. Like it's ain't coincidence. It's almost like we can just expect it to happen. Y'all just behave, horn dogs. So yes, it was a great time. It was a lovely day in Baltimore. And it was so fun because with Topside, we had brunch, and then the brunch bled into happy hour. So we were there at 12, but then we started really munching around 1. And then they had a happy hour that bled into 3 o'clock. And then we just was there till 5. So we had like a whole little cute little day in Baltimore on a Saturday. It was really, really fun. So yeah, that was great. Restaurant Week has returned apparently. It's only going to be one Restaurant Week a year. They're not doing it in the fall, which is a really bummer for me. Now, I get it though, right? Because Restaurant Week is a massive production. It's 120 restaurants participating in some type of capacity this season. I get so it's a yes and no for me, right? So let me start by saying that a lot of restaurants do not like to do Restaurant Week, even though they participate. This is Center City District, right? They don't like to do Restaurant Week because it is laborious. Like it is very packed. It's people are, spending money. I'm gonna give you all the pros and cons of it all in my opinion, as someone who's covered it over the years. So the pros. Let's get to the positive before I drag it. Okay, so the pros is that there's affordability, right? You get to go to restaurants you probably would have not gone to. Business, there's a lot of exposure for these restaurants that participate. They get opportunity to get some new customers and new people, new diners, whatever. It allows them to have a workflow situation because it's a prefix menu, so they can limit their items during that time. And some restaurants do. Sometimes they have additional items, but it creates a business flow, right? So you can get food. They making money off that bar. So people always wonder if the money's there. Sometimes it can be. So if you're eating low, you might drink more. So you might get more drinks and things. So it's great exposure for restaurants that, don't, right? Restaurant Week during winter is important because January is one of the slowest. I think it might be the slowest month in the year. For some people, they might say the summertime, depending on what kind of restaurant you have. But January is like one of the slowest months for restaurants. Like it is hard. Let me tell you a pro tip. If you really want to go to some of your favorite restaurants, like these nice restaurants, January for a lot of nice restaurants that are hard to reserve any time of the year, that is the time. January, because a lot of people are just not trying to go out. It's too cold outside. It's winter. People are just not trying to go out. Flu season. People getting flu. Flu is heavy right now. It's a lot going on in January. It's cold as fuck. It's fluey. People getting sick. So a lot of people will cancel reservations at the last minute. It's an opportunity to slide in and get in where you can fit in for some restaurants. So a lot of people typically will do that. Also, it's just like the beginning of the year. So a lot of times there's a lot of transition. Dry January, people don't really want to drink. So some people don't want to go to restaurants because they don't want to go and get tempted to drink. So it's a lot of things going on. So Restaurant Week will provide a really good financial boost to a lot of restaurants in Center City that want to participate during winter and especially in January. Because when February comes, Valentine's Day, baby. That Valentine's Day weekend, baby. Listen, Valentine's Day is crucial for restaurants to recover. Whatever that January loss is, baby, people will recuperate it. People lose their mind during Valentine's Day. Listen, that weekend, that's a real serious moneymaker for restaurants. Don't sleep on it, especially if you're a restaurant that is nice, like you're a sit-down dinner. Valentine's Day will really rock the boat. And make a big difference. But until then, you still got to keep lights on and things. So Restaurant Week in January is a smart idea, right? Especially now they're not having it in the fall anymore, which, yeah, I can see why. Fall restaurants, there's new restaurants. I can get it. I can get why it makes sense for Restaurant Week. Fall is a very popping time for restaurants. I feel like Restaurant Week will be smarter in the summer for some restaurants, honestly, but I get the load. So those are the pros, right? You get to try food, there's affordability, it's a cap rate for prefix in all restaurants. Now, the cons, and there's a lot of cons. Depending on which restaurant it is, Restaurant Week can be stressful for servers. Tipping gets a little weird because, you're working just as hard, but because the price set is different, you might not get as much as a tip at a restaurant where you might have gotten more money. Portion sizes, I typically hear is a big issue because, Restaurant Week, people get a little skimpy with them. You get what you pay for. Some of these restaurants get a little skimpy with their portion sizes. There's also an issue with menu, right? Certain things, some people have made Restaurant Week menus where literally the things that are on the restaurant menu is not on the real permanent menu. So that can create some type of friction because some people might like something on the Restaurant Week menu that was curated by the chef, that when they go back to the restaurant, I'm not going to name any names, but that item is not on the menu. And you're like, well, wait a minute, this is what I really liked. I thought you was going to do this. So some restaurants have gotten away with creating these like curated menus. I mean, it's the culinary vision of the chef, but it's not on the staple. Portion size becomes a problem, but you get what you pay for in many ways. Consistency becomes an issue because if you're making the same dishes or the same things for that curated menu, it can be crazy. Some restaurants, it's a lot of confusion because there's a restaurant week menu, then have the regular menu. And again, for sous chefs and people in the back of that kitchen, it can be a little chaotic. So it's a lot going on at restaurant week that do. Return on investment is debatable. A lot of people have said that, people who do come for restaurant week only will come for restaurant week. And like, I know one chef that was telling me that there's a couple of people they know where they call the restaurant week crew, where there's some people that will literally they will do their birthday or someone's birthday dinner or something literally for January. Like, okay, there's some Capricorn. You Capricorns, are y'all playing these games? But they will do a restaurant week. They will literally have their birthday dinner there and do the prefix there and do the restaurant week there at a restaurant like that. And there's like people that will make their birthday party center around the restaurant week menu. Interesting. I know some people. I know some. I can see that. I'll just leave it at that. I can see that. I've known some people that have made a birthday dinner around that, and some people will say, "Well, what's the big deal with that?" I mean, there's nothing wrong with it per se. A seat is a seat, right? But you could imagine if you had that kind of buy-in, built-in support around customers or diners, you would probably want them to be consistent. And some people will just only go for that one time. I know, for example, Fogo de Chao. When Fogo de Chao did Restaurant Week, that's way back. I don't even think they don't even really do it anymore. I mean, that was one of the best bang for your buck Restaurant Week experiences. People ask me, well, where would I go? Where would I go? It's hard, right? Listen, go to some classics like Amada. If you've never been to Amada, go to Amada. Go to some of the Jose Garzas, some of the Steven Star restaurants that you've been wanting to go to. Try them out. Go there. If you can, go there. A couple, go to a Michael Scholsten restaurant. So some of his classics, if he's, he does restaurant week, try to go to a Michael Scholsten classic. Oh, you know what? The Attorneys do a good one. Little Nona's and Bud and Maryland's. And any of the Marsha Attorney restaurants, and Valerie Saffron, if they do a restaurant week, I think they do. Try them out. Like, go to some places that you've been wanting to go to that for whatever reason you haven't. Don't go to a new restaurant. You're right. I'll say is it High Street? Not High Street is doing. What is it? A Kitchen. I think A Kitchen is doing restaurant week. Try them out if you haven't been, right? Go somewhere that's already good. Don't try to go to a new restaurant. Like, what I mean is like a brand new restaurant for restaurant week. I know people try that. I don't recommend that. That's been a thing. I know people, and some of those restaurants get mad at me, but I gotta speak my truth. I know people went to Outremer, that's the Townsend Wentz restaurant, and they did not like it initially. And then some people went back when it was a restaurant week and they really loved it. I went when it was not doing restaurant week. I went on a regular time when it had opened. It's a really great seafood restaurant. Do not go to a new restaurant during restaurant week. I know they want asses in seats, and some people will do it anyway, but just to my listeners, I will highly recommend that you do not do a new restaurant. Go to classics. Go to places that you've heard about that you have not gotten a chance to go to and try them out. I will tell you that their flow, restaurants that are like that, they typically have a better flow, a better understanding of restaurant week. It's not chaotic. They know how to perfect their menu. They have a good sense of self. So go to some really good top tier known restaurants. I think anything Ellen Yin is doing, like I said, A Kitchen will be fun. Go for lunch if dinner's too packed. But go to some places that are just guaranteed hits that you may have missed or you've heard good things about already. That's what I would personally recommend. I'm not really doing restaurant week myself, but I've done it so many times, and at this point, I'm just like, I'm a little bratty. Like, I don't do Center City Sips. I haven't done that in like nearly not 15 years, but I definitely haven't done it over 10 years. Definitely haven't done center seat slips in 10 years. You get to an age where you're just like, look, listen, I will pay the extra $3 for the drink for peace of mind and less chaos. Y'all got it. Like, my 22-year-old brother, he got it. Like, restaurant week is for him. He's gonna text me or something. He'll be like, oh, where should I go? And I'll give him a couple places that I recommend. The things I'm telling you ought to go to. I would recommend that. Like, I think South does restaurant week. That's great. That's a great place to go for restaurant week. But yeah, go somewhere that's already kind of established and somewhere that you haven't been to yet, so it could be fun. Like, don't go to the classics because you're gonna get disappointed. Like, if you go to a restaurant, a regular restaurant week menu will piss you off. And also, going to your favorite restaurants that do participate in restaurant week during restaurant week will annoy you. I had a situation 2 years ago. One of my spots. I'm not even gonna name the place because I don't want to put them on Front Street because this can get a little messy. But it is a place I go to often. You've heard me shout them out a couple times. They're on South Street. Okay, that's all I'm gonna tell you. So I went during a restaurant week situation. I went for the regular menu, but there were some people that were there, and I could tell they were not like regulars. And they were just mocking some menu items and questioning whether this is good or not or something. And I felt some type of way because I know the chef and I really like what the chef was doing there, the executive chef there. See, I'm telling you, some of y'all might already know what it is, but it is what it is. And I had to turn my head. I don't know. I don't normally do this. I don't. But they were so loud. It was almost like they were... I try not to get in people's conversations, but it was just almost like it was an invitation. And I did invite myself. And I typically don't do it, but I felt some type of way. And they were just saying something about one of the menu items. And they were just talking about it and saying, well, is it blah, blah, blah? And I said, no, actually, it's pretty good. And I just don't know why I did that. But the inner Karen in me came out in that moment. I don't know, but I just felt to say something. And they were they weren't appalled because they also recognized me. So it was like almost like a little bit of a, wow, oh my goodness, are you? And I was like, yeah, I am. And they were like, oh, and so then it became a larger conversation. And Mr. Johnson was like, see, there you go. And I'm like, see, I know. Because I try not to, but it's just sometimes. But it was a situation where I definitely saw that and I felt some way and I just had to say something. But I've learned restaurant week, I do not go to restaurants I like during restaurant week because the people that go for the first time, they're annoying. They're never coming back again. Most of them don't. You can just tell some people don't even really go to restaurants. And I get that. Like, restaurant culture is a thing. And there's some people that just don't really do restaurants and they like to eat their food at home. Well, eat your food at home. Please spare us from your bad table manners, your etiquette and your lack of etiquette and all the things. Spare us from it. Like, restaurant is a culture. Like, even theater culture, right? Like, I go to the theater on a regular basis, like on a monthly basis. I go to see somebody's musical, somebody's play. I'm going to go see is it a musical? A play this week with my younger brother. We're going to a show this week. Like, that's my life. But there's etiquette. You know, when you go to the theater, I don't care about dress code. People talk all day about dress codes and what to wear, whatever. I'm not a person like that. I'm big on etiquette, though. Them cell phones need to be on silent. Be mindful about what you're eating, right? How nibbling at a theater. If you're the type of person that, like, listen, people got different type of bowels, things like that. Don't get a seat in the middle, okay? Like me, I have a really good bladder. I really do. I didn't even realize in life to be appreciative of things that I didn't think. For the past several months, I have been very proud that I can say I have been blessed with a good bladder. I know this might be TMI, but I've been around some folks, I'm not judging, that gotta go right now. And I didn't realize that's a thing. And I'm just like, you know what? I didn't even know that I should be grateful for a good bladder. I mean, regulatively, but now I'm proud of myself. Like, I can go to a show, intermission might transition before a show, but I can sit my ass down for a period of time and not have to get up and, in the middle. There's people that, I went to a show and there was just somebody, I was just like, why did you get that seat? Get the seat. See, I like to get, maybe because I took the seat, I like the seat that's right next to whatever the exits are. Like, y'all know that seat. Like, it's not on the edge. I've learned that my favorite seats are the seats on the edge. So the moment I can get up, it's also the moment where if I want to move or get the corner, that corner seat, that's right next to whatever the usher, the aisles are, right next to the aisles. Now when I'm on a plane, I like window seat. This is really weird. I like a window seat when I'm on a plane. But in a theater, I don't, because I actually like the flexibility of my legs. I also like to get up, and also when people are coming in and out of rows, I like to be on that, like, I don't like to have to keep getting up. Go ahead, boo. Like, it's just, yeah, it's comfort for me. So I love those type of seats. But yeah, if you got a bladder like that, sit on those seats. So you have to keep getting up in front of people. Loud people that talk through a show. It's one thing to laugh. I get it. Things are humorous. By all means, I am too. But you don't got to sing every song in a musical. And sometimes I had a guy one time. We went to go see The Wiz. This person wanted to sing. Like, it was almost like they were trying to vocally compete with the artist on stage. Worst person ever. Even at concert. Like, shut the fuck. Listen, singing, I get it. It's joyful. But there's sometimes people be doing the most. I'm like, listen, you need to audition for the show. But I don't need to hear your vocals competing with their vocals. It's a thing. Anybody who's been out, you know those people. We those bad. The etiquette be etiquetting. Okay, it's a little annoying, but it happens. So yeah. But no, those are my thoughts for Restaurant Week. I mean, it's going to start. You won't catch me out that much. I won't. If I am at a restaurant, I will not be at a Restaurant Week restaurant. And also, I don't know how I feel about this, but I'm going to say it on this podcast. I will not say it on social media. But I don't know what's with some of these other restaurants that are not in Center City during Restaurant Week. And like Amina is doing their own version, but the prices are very different. Listen, you won't catch me at that restaurant. When will y'all learn? Okay. There are restaurants trying to do their own Restaurant Week. People go up for it. I'm just like, that food is not good. And that restaurant situation, I don't think you're going to get much bang for your buck. You barely get bang for your buck off the original price. Listen, you won't catch me at Amina's or Second Dart or any other ones. Listen, people say, oh, Black-owned restaurants, support Black-owned restaurants. I'm all for it if it makes sense. There was a recent restaurant that just closed down, and it's Black-owned, and it's in Philly. And I feel like we're seeing the rise. We witnessed the rise, but now the fall of big back eating. The restaurant I'm talking about is Pretty Girls Can Cook. PGC, Pretty Girls Cook, or something like that. This restaurant is closing temporarily, or they're trying to get money to stay afloat. I don't know what's going on. But interesting enough, they were on Kitchen Nightmares. This is that restaurant, y'all. They were on Kitchen Nightmares with Chef Gordon Ramsay, and got some money to redo their thing, re-up it. I went to an event there. It was cute. It's just very small. I was surprised by how small it was. I was like, I don't really, but they're apparently going to be on their last final week or something. They're not going to be in business. I think they're trying to have hope that maybe they can raise some revenue down the road to reopen or something, but they're going to be out of commission. I think Chubby Chicks went away last year. Despite all those influencers who thought they can save it. Anyway, I think Chubby Chicks, I think Pretty Girls Cook is suffering from the same thing Chubby Chicks is going through. I think Big Back Cuisine, that's what I'm calling it, Big Back Cuisine. It was an era for it. I think in this age of Ozempic, of clean eating, of the scarcity of restaurants, the economy, people are being more thoughtful about what they eat and how they eat. And I think Philadelphia is trying to change its own image around cuisine. I mean, it's a really good restaurant city, but I think Big Back Cuisine is taking a hit. That's what I think is happening. I think the stuffed French toast, the fried chicken, fried, whatever. I think all that kind of stuff, the grits and this, I think that is starting to get. I think people are getting tired of it, but I also think, I don't know. It's just something. I think that food eating, and I feel like that's going to echo signs for Kitchen and Cocktails, or whatever they call themselves. I can't even pronounce them right. That's right there on Broad Street. I just feel like we're in an era where that type of eating, I think there is a space for it, but I don't think we need an overabundance of it. And so anytime you see a new big back restaurant come to town, a big back gotta go, right? So Kitchen and Cocktails came to Broad Street. What left Center City? Chubby Chicks. Now that went for other reasons, in my opinion. Now they're in Atlanta, which is like big back capital Atlanta. They just, everything they do is just, there's a space for it in Atlanta. It's not really working. I think Philly is like phasing out of that, like French toast and was it Fruity Pebbles French toast and taking cereals and crumbing milk. Like I think all of that type of eating, and it's not just black businesses that are dealing with that. Let's be very clear. Like I think a lot of other spots, like what's that place? Craftsman Row. Is it Craftsman Row? That restaurant, that bar that does the crazy milkshakes and they do all the crazy themed food. I guess they're on Craftsman Row, but it's like that type of eating is, I don't know. I mean, I think it might work for a bar. Maybe they'll be okay, but just restaurants that are centered around that, like Brunchaholics, I think they have they have a good thing working for them because they're focused on brunch, and that's like the spot for that. Bacon, Bacon. I love the guys over there. I don't really know how it's going over there at that Fashion District location. I know South Philly location because it's like South Philly. They get a little silly. It gets silly in South Philly. I think people do like it in the South Philly location. I've heard mixed reviews about it at the Fashion District location. I don't know if it's transitioning as well. I mean, people are going, but I just wonder like that, like bacon is fitting a nudge. Like people love, I like bacon. I know because it's also like Philly is very like, don't do that much pork. So if you can find a niche, I think bacon, because they found their niche, right? They can probably withstand it. But if you don't really have a niche or a specific clientele or focus, it can get a little shaky. So I don't really know what the future of big back cuisine is going to look like in Philly as far as the restaurants. Kitchen Cocktails, I think that they're trying to make themselves, they're trying to take that Dallas, Houston, DC energy. I don't know. The verdict is still out for me on that restaurant. I have my own thoughts about him because what went down in Texas, where this is the same guy who had the business that that was out here, telling people how to dress and this, that, and the third, how to act, and I don't know. It's just the respectability politics of it all just kind of turned me off from the place and that culture. Like, I'm not saying restaurants can have dress codes. We know restaurants can have dress codes, but there's just something around Black-owned restaurants that try to push that like respectability politics in a way that I feel like, listen, if you know your people and you know what city Philadelphia is, come on. And that doesn't mean there can't be etiquette, right? But I do think some places get a little, like, I don't know. I feel like there is some Black-owned restaurants that are so caught up in trying to perform that level of like expectation on diners. But I also will say, and I gotta say this because I need to go off. So much of the aesthetic of these restaurants are built on trying to look a certain way. But do your food and the menu reflect that though? Do you cook food in a certain way that it creates a level of standard that people will want to rise up and show up for in that type of way? Like, like I always say to people, do the carpet match the drapes? Because that's the thing that annoys me. You'll get these restaurants that will be big on dress code and you gotta wear this and how to talk and no logos and all this shit, right? But do the food quality and the preparation and the atmosphere that you're trying to enforce this type of level of scrutiny on, does it match the actual vibe of your restaurant? Because you can't sit around here and tell me that I can't have labels on a hat or a certain shirt or brand, but then I'm seeing that you're using Cisco food products, the bottom of the barrel Cisco food supply, to like make your food, and you're charging me these asinine prices to make a profit, but it's not matching to the quality. You got a grass wall, you got these corny neon lights, you got chairs and tables and silverware that's shitty as fuck. But then you at the same time want people to spend this kind of money and you want to regulate what they wear. You gotta be happy people show their ass up to a restaurant. You know how hard it is for people to go to a restaurant? You turning someone down because of a t-shirt or a jersey or something. Like, what kind of, like, come on, right? Be for real. Be for real, right? Be for real. Right? Be for real. Because I've gone to restaurants in this city, some of them really fine restaurants, and some of the ways in which they don't have those type of insane dress codes, I'm looking like, you're saying they're going there. Well, guess what? They're even, hell, they make their own sauces. They actually, some of them actually get their ingredients. You think they're doing all that shit at Honeysuckle? No. Honeysuckle don't have a crazy dress code, but the food is way better. You think Friday, Saturday, Sunday got this ridiculous dress code? No, and they got a Michelin star. But Kitchen and Cocktails want to tell you how to dress and how to look and shit. Don't get me started. But some people need to check themselves, check the city that they're at. I did not know I was going to go on a tirade about this, but it's MLK, right? It's MLK. I'm speaking truth to power. You know, what do you say about the content of your character, right? Let's be those people, y'all. Because it's so much going on in the world. The way that the restaurant industry is right now, to get people to show up, to spend their hard-earned money, to eat your crappy, mediocre food, is saying something. Don't make it hard, because one bad experience can make other people not go. And that's what's been the case for some of these restaurants. Mr. Kevin, okay? Just saying. I done did my research. Same thing with Chubby Chicks. Let's talk about that service. See, we always want to talk about the food. Everybody wants to talk about food and looks and this and appearance and identity politics. What is that service giving, though? What is that service giving? Just saying. So this week, on the record, Ernest on 96.1 FM, 900 AM, Progressive Black Talk Media. I had council member Kendra Brooks. We're going to talk more about that interview later in the show, but it was incredible. It was a very powerful interview. I'm really, this season, we're in season 2 now of the show, but it's only been like 3 episodes of this new season. But, because I do no features barely on this show, I think what I love about the difference between this show and On the Record is that On the Record, I am doing interviews. People see me in my element as a host, right? As a host that interviews, thought leaders and people and have a discussion. And with this show, it's just me providing my commentary, my analysis, my reporting, and I really get to talk. And people love both. I love both. I love doing both. I love being in an interviewer chair, and that's what makes that show really fun, because I don't do as much talking. I do some analysis and things, but it's, you all get to see how I get the work done, like how I get these stories done, how I can get the context and what kind of questions I ask to get to the juice. And I teach my students this. They listen to my interviews and we talk about them, and I let them look at other interviews and what to do, what not to do. For the reporters. But we study these things and we talk about them and we discuss what works and what don't work and what happens. We have a difficult guest and how to navigate that. And so I have a lot of fun doing both. And this interview, it just was another reminder for me of like what makes that show special. So, as always, you can look at the link in the bio. It's there. Check it out. It's a regular interview, and we're going to talk more about it later in the show. And then before I transition into hot topics, I have an announcement. I won an award, y'all. Yes. The Philadelphia Business Journal awarded me with their diversity. I'm one of the honorees of their Diversity in Business Awards. The reception and event is going to be in March. Tickets are going to be sold in late February, so stay tuned for that. But I'm one of the honorees. They're honoring 21 business leaders in the city that they are praising for the work they did do around diversity. And I'm one of those recipients. So I'm really honored. I was surprised because you get nominated. And so, so people out there that nominate me for these awards, even when I don't even know about them, thanks. It just wasn't something that was on my playbook. I was like, oh, this is cool. So, yeah, it's nice to get, awards and things of that nature. But one of the cool things is that, some of the things that was named was, I independently raised over $300,000 for PABJ in a single year. I've given out over $100,000 in scholarships and fellowships to college students and young media professionals. I established the first ever independent headquarters for the organization. I produced the Emerging Media Diversity Convention, which is the organization's first ever convention. I recruited over 350 new members to the organization. I developed a local Black Podcasters Academy for diverse media creators. I launched a public relations masterclass fellowship with Cashman Associates. I collaborate with a coalition of diverse media affinity groups to call for DEI action within local media news outlets, and so many other things that I've done. So for some people that might say, oh, he gets everything. Why does he get it? Let me just read y'all my stats and the work that I've done with Ernest Media Empire, of course, as the CEO of that, and also the president of Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists. Baby, because a couple of people, not that I need to respond, but sometimes folks will just listen to things and say, of course he got it. Yeah, because things were done. And even when you do good work, right, you could still be denied because there's always politics and hateration. So it's a beautiful thing when you can be acknowledged for the work that you do in a time in which mediocrity oftentimes get it because of the complicity and the capitulation. So when a person like myself, who could be outspoken and talk my shit and do all the things and still be honored by the Philadelphia Business Journal, it's pretty dope. So I'm very honored. It's my first ever honor by them. They do their 40 under 40 list. They do all these other lists. I've been snubbed so many years. I don't really expect these awards. I don't really expect Philly awards. I have to be honest. Most of my trophy case is mostly about 90% of those awards are national. It's not a flex. It's a fact. It really is. And it's because Philly just, I don't know. It's just people too sensitive. They can't walk and chew gum. You could give people their tens and also not agree with everything. But in Philly, you got to kiss ass, be a sycophant, do some backdoor deals, be a war leader. I don't know. Do what you got to do to get something in this city. But if you're not willing to do those things, it really seldom happens. So when those rare occurrences do happen, such as the case with this, it is honoring. It is an honor. So I'm grateful. And thank you all for those who nominated me for this. And I appreciate you all, care about you all, even people that give me nice gifts. This lovely woman sent me a gift card to Kills. I'm like, oh my goodness, that was nice. $250 gift card to Kills. That's love. Just you all are just great. I love donations, gifts. I'm joking. No, I do actually appreciate it, but I don't solicit them. But I'm like, thanks for just being kind. It's very nice. I don't take any of it for granted, and it's great as I write my book, because I am writing book 2, as y'all know. I'm divided we stand. I spend my weekends. So before I get to hot topics, I guess I digress. I mean, listen. It's a good conversation, I suppose, but I'm very chatty. But it's also it's just a lot going on. I want to say this. A lot of you have asked me, how do I write these chapters? How am I writing my book and everything? So what has been my perfect flow has been that I do a lot of my research analysis and stuff. I've already done a lot of that already, but I go over some of it. And then I begin to fine tune chapters in certain parts. I have my outline done. I have all this stuff done. And I'm writing chapters throughout the weekend. So I put a lot of time over the weekends, because that's a lot of times it's like my downtime. Where I got a good Sunday or a good Saturday or something. Even Fridays is like a perfect time where I write on Fridays. Like I love Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Ooh, like my favorite restaurant. Like that is the time where I get to really write a chapter. And this book is going to have 8 chapters. Ooh, I told you I was in the 8 chapters. Like my last book. My last book had about 8 chapters as well. But these are not like little 5. I mean, these are, I got 70,000 words to write, y'all. But we're doing it. So I use that time. But in between, it's nice I might, pop on Love and Hip Hop, or, get my face together, do a nice little whatever. So it's always nice to get cute little things. So I appreciate all the love and support. And, it's because of listeners like you. Thank you. So, moving along. Hot topics. Trump. Donald J. Trump. First of all, I don't even know where to begin with this man. Let's talk about the Nobel Peace Prize. Let's talk about this ridiculous decision. Okay? He has Maria Corina Macchiato's medal, but he is not recognized as the prize laureate. Like I had mentioned prior, I don't know if I said it on this show or another show. Yeah, I know, right? The Nobel Peace Prize cannot be exchanged. Like you cannot give it to another person. Even if you give it away, they will not be acknowledged for it. So, for example, let me put this in context. Adele won Album of the Year for 25. That was the album, 25. When she beat out Beyonce for Lemonade, I know that deep down inside she did not want to, you know, be able to pull it off, right? She didn't want to she didn't want that album year. She act like as if she wanted to give it to Beyonce. Let's say that she decided to give her album year award to Beyonce, like give it to her because she didn't want it. Beyonce will not suddenly become acknowledged as the album year recipient for 2026. The Queen Bee has one of her own, which was the 2025 album year for Cowboy Carter, right? So that's how it works. Beyonce earned her own. Whether Adele felt like she deserved it or not does not matter to the Recording Academy. That's the same way you should understand the Nobel Peace Prize. The committee did not give Donald Trump the Nobel Prize. He did not earn it, despite recommendations and things. They chose this leader in Venezuela. Okay? Now, you've seen the pictures, you've seen the awards and all that stuff, but let's be very clear. He is still not recognized as the prize laureate, even though he now has in his possession. And people said that, Mikado may have given it to him because she wants him to support her as the next president. Well, Trump did not endorse her. Despite her showing up to the White House, despite her giving him that Nobel Prize, he has not endorsed her to become Venezuela's next president. And to be honest, I have been very turned off by her. By this she's been, it's like, is this the politic? Was you doing this just because? That's the thing, was this, I'm not saying her work was that, but like as a means of political power, is these the power dynamics that is coming to play? I just, it's a thing, it's a thing. I not really here for either, both of them, but this is an example of you getting played and you gotten played. So you want your award back, girl? You want your medal back? Like, because I feel like she did that to politic to get that endorsement. There's no way that she was willing to give it without getting something in hand. But you're playing with this white man who does not care about Latinx people. He does not care. He went to Venezuela for oil. He does not care about who the next leader is. And quite frankly, he probably doesn't want you to, because he knows that if you're going to stand up to a dictator, it's another dictator trying to, he's not about them politics, girl. So I don't know why she thought that she could cozy up to this man. Somebody should have told her. Somebody better tell her, because she out here acting. Somebody should have told her that this is not how this man works. So now that he got his little award, that quite frankly is pointless because it doesn't change the history books, right? And honestly, they probably will now never give it to him because of the immaturity he's had over this. And let's be very clear why he wants this award and everything he's been doing. Because he's obsessed with former President Barack Obama. A lot of Trump's energy is that he's obsessed. It makes him so angry that this black man, everything that Obama has done, he's wanted. It really kills him that he's lost the election. Obama's never lost a presidential race. Trump has lost one. Does he have 2 terms? Yes, but with a gap. He's angry that this black man got the Nobel Peace Prize. Everything that Trump has been trying to get throughout his entire presidency has been in a response to Obama, because Obama looked down at him at that press correspondence dinner back in 2012
and really dragged him to bits. And it made that man sit there and feel small. And I think in the back of his mind, he's like, who the fuck does this man? And I think that's what that's what really drove him to run for president. I really do. I think there was always trash talking. But I think when Obama, and you got to go back and look at this, when it was the whole birtherism thing, Trump jumped on that birtherism rhetoric around, questioning Obama's birth certificate. And I think he was trying to get a filler. But when Obama pulled up to that White House press correspondence dinner and dragged Trump to filth, I think it was that night when Trump decided, okay, I have to do this. And he stopped at nothing to do it. And I think it was obsession. Everything he's done, there's so much of it, this seems like he wants to, one, reverse any monumental thing that Obama has achieved, in addition to now trying to force his name and himself to match whatever Obama has achieved. It's fake. It's corny. And here's the thing. When Trump is out of office and when nature begins to fully heal, is Trumpism dead all the way immediately? No. But what will happen is a lot of these renamings, a lot of this shit will go back into its natural form. Those appointments on those boards, all that shit about to get scrubbed. And it's sad that the White House itself will not be. He's trying to make a lasting legacy. He wants to leave his mark in some type of way. And yeah, I'm not personally here for it. And it's very telling. So, yeah, that's where we are. Trump has a veto. His first veto killed legislation that would have brought clean water to some of the most conservative parts of Colorado. They're mad. They're thirsty. They're bewildered. They don't know what's going on. It is bizarre. It's a lot happening. And yeah. Yeah. His numbers are not good. I mean, his approval rating is in the trash. And the worst thing that's came out in this recent analysis by CNN, but others, is that among independents right now, 29%. 29%. It's not looking good. Independent voters, he needs to be worried about. His approval ratings, the only place where it's super high is amongst his colleagues in Congress. He's got like an 89% approval rating or something like that amongst other Republicans, conservative leaders. But the general public, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. The midterms are not looking good. Productivity in the House in 2025 has sucked. Republicans are trying to unite a very divided House, but there's not been that many votes. There's not even been that many bills that's become law. Then almost any session, and this is a 2025 session, in the last 2 decades, 2025 was a flop year for Trump. There was no movement. Like this has been a failure. Like he's now 1 year in since his inauguration, pretty much coming in, and the first year of Trump 2.0 has been a disaster. Doge, remember that? Remember we talked about Doge last time? Remember Department of Government Efficiency? Remember I told y'all that Elon Musk relationship was going to sour, and people were like, hold on. Nah, it sucked. Even the Department of Education is now saying, you know what? We don't want to do wage garnishments. Like, we don't want to take from people with these student loans. They're going to, quote unquote, pause it or some shit. Because they're realizing, or at least Linda McMahon, who's in Department of Education, which is hilarious, is that they're pissing off their voters. Like, they're so busy thinking that the things that libs want, affordable college, student loans, affordable living, prices, that they think that these are lib issues. But in the process of trying to piss off Democrats, They're pissing off the everyday people. The politics is like, who wants this? Now, there was something in the New York Times talking about Trump supporters are liking what he's doing. I'm like, around what? Around ICE? But you mean to tell me that you want immigrants out the country so bad that you're willing to go through all this other shit? Listen, the hatred must be strong. The bigotry must be strong. You want to be a broke bigot. If that's your choice, like you want to be broke. You want to be broke with no good health insurance, with no health insurance, teeth falling out, you probably got scurvy, and you're okay with the reality that because some other people that have nothing to do with you, right, are not here, that's all you wanted. That's just pure evil. That's just pure evil. You're an evil person. You they're not taking your jobs, baby. They're not. You're losing your jobs because of tariffs, technological advancements, a decrease in academia that's allowing other jobs to be decimated. Like, departments are shutting down, a poor economy. Like, you're losing your job for various reasons, all connected to your interest in seeing immigrants leave. So you said they were taking your jobs. You trying to take them out the country is taking jobs away from you. It's impacting the economy. Who was doing that labor that you never wanted? I didn't know. Did you want to be out on the farm picking vegetables and fruit? I mean, some people might, but is that the job that you're talking about? Like, I'm just trying to figure out what job did you want they took from you. I didn't know a bunch of undocumented immigrants were out here in corporate America, out here with taking your program coordinator position, your executive director position. I didn't know they were taking those jobs. I did not know that. I did not know that. Did you know that? So you mean to tell me when you was applying for the job, you know when they ask you for your passport or your social security card and they ask for like ID and citizenship and those type of jobs that you were applying, they were taking those jobs? Okay. Because the ones that you're talking about, I mean, people with visas, perhaps, but they're not taking people with visas out unless they're like, protesting and things like that. But I'm just trying to understand that the people that they're saying came here through illegal means. I mean, through boats and through gates. These are the people you're thinking are stealing your jobs. Be honest. Okay. And then also, who's hiring them? Just curious. Who's hiring them in your neighborhoods? Who's hiring those people? You might want to take it up with the manager, right? The American citizen, because somebody had to give him a job, and it probably the farmer in those rural southern areas. I promise you, they're probably not a Democrat. I mean, just trying to make this make sense. And I'm tired of these conversations. I'm tired how they have bled into barbershops and other spots where people have tried to come in with that dumbass logic. And I just need people to take a step back and think, what is the job that's being stolen? How would they get that job? This is an easy way to I just want you to cleanse your mind of xenophobia. You're looking for something to be mad at. Do you even know what you're mad at? Or that's just what he told you to say. He just said this to you and you just began to adapt it without any critical thinking skills. But I also believe that ChatGPT is supposed to be the answer for you, that y'all can walk and chew gum at the same time. Yeah, no, not going to fall for that propaganda over here. So, I don't know what to say. And then, of course, he is announcing European tariffs. He's threatening European tariffs because he now wants to own Denmark. He wants to own Greenland. He wants to take charge of this Danish territory. What? What? So he's targeting Denmark and 7 other European countries with a 10% rate. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah. You know. Trump wants panties. He's got this 7-figure lingerie purchase. Apparently, he's hoping to cash in on panties. Apparently, that's a thing. I didn't know that was a thing, but apparently, that's a fetish. Not surprised, to be honest, but here we are. Ice Barbie, y'all know who Ice Barbie is, right? Ice Barbie, the one that everybody knows, Kristy Nome, she's back again. She's apparently, she has goons that she sent to DHS to carry out some things for her. Stephen Miller is inventing a new law to justify Trump's obsession. There's a lot going on right now in mega worlds. A lot going on. Yeah. This is what we're dealing with. So, DOJ fucking up. They want to keep the Epstein files sealed. That's their new obsession. They want to keep it sealed. They want to protect the Epstein files. That is apparently their goal. They're feeling like, hey, for whatever reason, they want to keep him protected. And this is what we got to deal with. So, like I said, I don't expect that the Epstein files are going to, personally, I don't think the Epstein files are going to ever get fully fixed. I don't think we'll ever get all the files. And I think that the files that we already have and know, has it changed the way people feel about him? That's just my opinion. Is it going to change anything? Do we believe that? Do we really believe that's going to change? I'm skeptical. But what do I know? Democrats, look, Cory Booker, what to do with Cory? These Dems keep flip-flopping back and forth. This conversation around ICE, even Chuck Schumer, like, oh, we don't need to get rid of ICE. We need to train ICE to be, give them better training on policing. They need to be trained like police officers. Y'all know that the Proud Boys, there are members of the Proud Boys, which is a hate group, okay? That are literally, some of them are the masked individuals going out here taking people up. People are saying they're not trained like police officers. That was the goal. ICE was never meant to be, they're federal. They're not meant to be police officers and trained in that kind of way. That's not their intention. These are like actual Gestapo level type enforcers. They're goons that are carrying out whatever the president wants, however he wants it. They're goons. They're not intended to be police officers. They're not going to not have a mask. Now, there are several law enforcement people that are around the country. There's legislation that's trying to say, look, mass law enforcement not allowed here. Good luck, right? But this is their behavior. I just think that Democrats, national Democrats, trying so hard to make it make sense with this whole ordeal. Like, trying so hard to go, oh, haven't we learned anything from policing? Like, the whole idea of like, oh, body cameras. If we put body cameras, that's going to stop, extrajudicial police killings. It is not. I guess some people say in some cases that it's not changing the state of policing, right? People are still being unarmed and killed by police. Like, just because national headlines have shifted on it. Now the focus on ICE, right? Now they found their new target. It's not changing, y'all. Like, you cannot, a flawed system like this, reform cannot just reform. It cannot. You cannot just reform this machine. But there are people that think they can. Cory Booker says he will not vote to fund ICE, says the agency's out of control. But then you got people like Chuck Schumer, who's been out here trying to change it up. You know, he says Democrats are ready to get to work. Okay. You know, at one point in time, Senator Booker, okay, let me take a moment to address this. Some of y'all with your messy asses sent me that video he posted of him with his wife, bringing her to work with him. And, you know, they had a dinner and she went to get some ice cream with sprinkles. And, you know, she was in the Senate cafeteria and hung out with him and another legislator. And, you know, listen. First of all, she's like old enough to be like close to being his daughter. Like the age gap between them is like, I think that's like a 16, 18-year age gap. Like she's old enough to potentially be his own daughter. A little cringy. Like, I think there's like an 18-year-old gap between them. I mean, it's all legal. Everything's legal, right? But it's like, look, when I see them together, like, she could be his daughter, y'all. Like, look, they like it, they love it. Okay. But you know, Booker has been doing a lot lately. I mean, there's a book that might be coming out that he might be pushing very soon. You know, Trump's out here trying to do the Insurrection Act in Minnesota, which is comical given the word insurrection. But this is what we're dealing with, you know. The press secretary, Carolyn, is saying that America should have coffee with ICE agents. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. This is where we're at. And the thing matters for worse, right? Gavin Newsom was doing a podcast with Ben Shapiro. He had Ben Shapiro on his podcast. He's back on his bullshit. Every time I think I'm going to be okay, you know, apparently he's saying, you know, he's saying a lot of things. He's backtracking some of the things he said in the past. He's flip-flopping on various issues like Israel. It's he's a white man. He's a white man. And I think that's the thing that I have to remind myself. Not that I need to be reminded, but listen, white politicians are just, whether they're on the right side of history or not, Democrats or whatever, it's going to always be, you're going to be reminded that they're always going to put their own personal self-interests above other people. For example, he's walking back his tweet. This is Gavin Newsom, by the way, calling Nicole Good's murder state-sanctioned terrorism. He's walking that tweet back. You know, listen, now we walking back shit. Okay. These are choices. These are choices. Looks like a federal judge has ruled that ICE agents cannot use tear gas or detain protesters. That's great. Let's see if they do it. Love to see it. Love to see it. But, you know, this is what I'm saying. Like, I just feel like national Democrats right now, Gavin Newsom, disappointing. Cory Booker, I mean, he's been disappointing for a while. Chuck Schumer, like, ciao, bye. I mean, Jasmine Crockett out here still speaking truth to power. I'll give her that. But there's just been a lot of, like, back and forth, a lot of flip-floppy behavior. It was a lot. So it's just, it's a lot going on. And yeah. Yeah. Just pay attention. Everybody. I'll just leave that. I'll just say, everybody pay attention Pay very close attention, okay? Stay very woke on this presidential election. We cannot fuck this up. Democrats, independents, all the things. We cannot fuck this up. We cannot. We cannot fuck this up. No. Yeah. We cannot fuck this up. I think there will be, if I'm, based on the rate that we're at right now, I believe that there will be a candidate that will just fall from the sky. Somebody's going to emerge. I don't fully trust the current Democratic slate. Somebody's going to emerge. I'm trying to be optimistic, but I just have a sense that somebody's going to pop out and show people. I just don't think this is it. I think Gavin Newsom, I'm not 100% sold. Shapiro, Cory Booker, somebody else is going to emerge. I don't know who it is. Don't ask me. I don't know. I actually don't know. I just feel in my gut that we're going to have an insurgency. Somebody is going to come out and we're going to be like, who is that? I just have that feeling. Like Donald Trump is like that with the Republicans. Like 2016, it was like before him, because everybody wants to go back to 2016 before he was president, right? And be nostalgic about what that means. We'll get into that. But like something just tells me that it is somebody's waiting to pull that trigger. I don't know who it's going to be, but somebody's going to pop out. And we're going to need that because I'm just not sold on any of these people. I'm really not. And I just feel like justice will serve itself. Even with the Republicans. I feel like the Republican race, J.D. Vance is just not the heir apparent. If he thinks he is, he's a fool. Because history tells us that most VPs don't become president. It don't typically fare well for them. I don't really know that many. I mean, the last one to really do that was, Joe Biden, but he had to wait 8 years, 12 years before he did it. And that was a very weird circumstance. But before him, shit, the last one was the first George W. Bush. Well, George Herbert Walker Bush, George H.W. Bush. He was the last one before to really do the transition. Kamala thought she could pull it off, but that didn't work out. But Biden had to wait a couple of years before he jumped in. Mike Pence, that didn't happen. I'm not sold on J.D. Vance going right into it. I don't think he will, actually. I think people will be so fed up with Republicans. The next president will be a Democrat. I just feel like in my soul, I just feel like the next president will be a Democrat. Which Democrat, we don't know. That's going to be interesting. But I sense there will be an insurgency. I do feel like there's going to be something abrupt. Because it's not clicking right now. It's not clicking. The people interested, we need something different. We're going to need something bold and different. So yeah, those are my thoughts. As far as media changes go, Facebook has been cutting off their VR, their virtual reality. There's going to be some layoffs that's coming from Facebook, if not already. But they're pushing. They got a new CEO, which, by the way, the CEO of Meta is the wife of McCormick, a conservative. McCormick's wife, which this is, by the way, a conflict of interest. His wife, Dina Powell McCormick, is married, to the U.S. Senator of Pennsylvania, Dave McCormick. They've been married since 2019. Before then, she was married for 19 years to a man named Richard C. Powell. Now, Richard C. Powell was a public relations professional. He also was a managing director of that Washington-based Quinn Giuseppe. He's passed away. He died of prostate cancer. He died at 79 years old. So she is a widow.
I think she's a widow, yeah. But she is 52 years old. And she was married to him in her 40s. She was born in 1973. She was 25 years old. He was in his 50s. You know, interesting. Dave McCormick, he's 60, so he's closer to her age. She was born in Cairo, Egypt. She's a Republican, Dina Powell McCormick. She's now the new head honcho of Meta. That's who she is. For those who didn't make that connection, some of y'all might go, ha, yes. And for those who are questioning, there's a problem there. She's now the president and vice chairman of Meta. It's a big damn deal. Okay, so that girl boss stuff that y'all used to hear about, the lean in, yeah, she's got that job now. This is a red flag. This is a red flag, y'all. This is a red flag, in my opinion. I have thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts about this because a lot of people were like, oh, what do you think about this? Blah, 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 blah. I'm not, I don't know. There's just some things with this that's just, I think this is going to be a ethical issue. But, Republicans and ethics, they, Democrats too sometimes, but it's just it's not looking good. So she's now running it. There are some changes happening. Virtual reality, they're phasing out of it because I think they're trying to lean into AI. This is why I'm a little cynical about these technologies. This is what I meant earlier about the grifts around this, right? So now virtual reality, remember the whole idea? Remember they were trying to do this whole virtual friend thing? They then phased that out. Now AI is in. But I remember for 5 seconds, people thought the virtual reality thing was going to be a thing. Trying to get into that money. Big billions of dollars is being poured into it. Now that's been phased out. Yeah, not looking good. A lot of y'all have been asking about Jenna Bush and Chanel Jones's show they're doing. Okay. Two things can be true at the same time. Chanel Jones, she is a widow now. She's lost her husband, a lovely father to her kids. She's taken a long break. She's back on TV. I am happy to see her. She's got a book coming out. I'm happy to see her, continue her career and just being joyful and keeping up, her happiness. That's true. That's the truth that I'm speaking on. This show, first of all, the fact that it's Jenna and Chanel, why Jenna name first? But okay, I'm being petty. But, when there's like names, the bill was like, that might be a petty thing to note, right? But I'm kind of like, I don't know. I think it's just one of those things with TV is like seeing them transition her into this. I don't know if this is because I know it was like Huda had it at first. And I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about her going this. I mean, she likes it. So people say, who cares what you think, Ernest? Your opinion doesn't matter. True. I just feel that the journalistic edge that made her great. And I don't know. I do know. I'm just trying to be thoughtful what I'm going to say. I'll speak more in general. What do broadcast journalists want?
Where are the journalists in the room? I just feel like we're in an era where it just seems like no one wants to do, you know, any type of real, you know, work, like actual hard cutting. Like, I just feel like we're in this era right now where everyone wants to be lighthearted and silly and fun. And I'm not saying there's not a space for that, but I just feel like we're losing a lot of our journalists to softer subject matter. And I'm noticing with our Black journalists, and somebody's got to tell the tough stories. And I'm not saying it has to be Chanel, but I'm just thinking about just what I'm watching right now in the industry. And I'll talk about Philly. But I'm noticing, like, Alex Holly, one would say she's never really did that much hard-hitting journalism. But like Bill Anderson, like everybody wants to be silly and personable and relatable. And I'm just like, who's doing the real shit? Why is everyone I'm not saying everyone, but so many right now that's doing the work? We're losing a lot of Black people who've been trained properly as journalists, choosing to want to be like influencers and that type of shit. I'm not saying you can't have a personality. I'm just saying we're losing a lot of our serious, hard-hitting news journalists to the social media of it all. And it's not to say that you can't use social media as a tool to do it, but I'm just noticing that people are building followings off of silliness. And I'm just like, you did all this to do that? Like Morgan Kelly Radford, I don't know if y'all know who she is, but she's on NBC News. She's great. I love her, right? Know her for years, seen her rise. Morgan Kelly Radford's doing that work, right? Yamiche Alcindor, they're doing that work. I feel like so many people just want to be funny and be lighthearted because I feel like they want to play safe because the money wants them to, right? They don't want to have the courage. We're missing courage right now. Everyone wants to it's easier to make content and do work that makes people laugh and smile because it's innocuous, it's safe, it's not political, and it's easier to unify. They say unify, but that's not unifying. It's not, because someone's got to have the uncomfortable conversations. And if everybody is avoiding those type of conversations, who's doing them? And I feel like it's getting harder to find those people that do. What I loved about Oprah was that while Oprah did do lifestyle, Oprah did love to do that kind of shit. Oprah was giving people tough, hard conversations that were uncomfortable. And we're missing that. I don't see enough of that on TV anymore. And I think the corporatization of it is that people, look, say what you want about Sally, Jesse, Raphael, but I wonder what an Oprah, like, what happened? The Ellen DeGeneres era happened. It fucked up media because everything became, the world is too tough as it is. Let's have fun. Let's get loose. But now we don't have any real outlets now to witness serious conversations. What made the Oprah Winfrey Show iconic was that Oprah would do a show about skincare and reading books. She had people reading books. Bring back book clubs, national book clubs, right? Oprah had people reading books. I will never forget. I was probably like 11 or like 8 or 9. And I remember sitting on the edge of my seat trying to figure out what Oprah Winfrey's book was going to be. And I'll never forget when she got everybody excited when it was Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. No, it was East of Eden by John Steinbeck. That's the first time I read that book. I thought it was a new book. I didn't realize it was an old classic. And I remember being like, East of Eden. And then I realized it was a movie, and I remember that was the first time I ever heard about that book. And it was a book club book by Oprah. I never forget, like everybody was all excited. And it was like she was like East of Eden, and she kept saying it. I was like, what is this book? And I remember I went to Walmart because I was in Arkansas, my summer in Arkansas. I remember it was the summer. And I remember I went to I went to Walmart and got that book. Loved it. Was like, who's this John Steinbeck? Didn't realize he was dead. Didn't realize these were old books. Read Grapes of Wrath. And my whole world changed. Like reading, like the books I was reading. But it was Oprah Winfrey who got me exposed to John Steinbeck. And that's when I began to read his books. Yes, some young miner in Marion, Arkansas, in a hot summer, was watching Oprah with his grandma every day and heard about a John Steinbeck book watching Oprah. Where is that? We was reading books. We was a different type of people, okay? And I remember a million little pieces. I remember reading that because of Oprah. And listen, and that man lied. We was used to talk about books. She had the KKK on her show. She had racists. She had all types of different people. And they were having different conversations. We don't got that anymore. We're not having that type of national intellectual discourse. We're not. People think podcasts can replace it. No. Because she knew the power of like a national audience. Like everyday Americans. And I think a lot of that is missing right now. Ellen wanted to just be cool. Ellen just gave us a bunch of celebrities, stupid, gossipy content. Yeah, some cute feel-good moments, some giveaways. Oprah did that and did it better, actually. But she wasn't talking about shit. We got dumb. She wasn't talking about books like that. Everything was about movies and celebrities and but not the things that stimulated us. I really do miss the Oprah Winfrey Show. I really do. I really do miss what that did to us as a society. And I just feel like so much of these programs that we're watching, they only want to sell shit to us or have these soft conversations, but they're not trying to really dig deep. We've missed an era of that. And everybody wants to be Oprah, but everybody don't want to really do what Oprah did. Like, Oprah was more than just being funny and likable and all that shit. Oprah was having some tough conversations. She was okay with controversy. The woman was sued by the Beef Association for taking a stand against cattle. The cattle industry sued her. Like, you all don't understand. Like, people have a revisionist history of Oprah. And like, look, am I standing out a little bit? I'm not. I'm a super fan. But like, I just think it annoys me when I hear people say, oh, I want to be the Oprah of this, Oprah of that. Oprah was more than just someone interviewing people, y'all. Oprah read books. Oprah promoted books. Is any of your faves right now promoting literacy? Huh? Is any of them promoting literacy? Is any of them willing to confront issues that are hard subjects? Or are they just trying to be funny and do giveaways? That's not all Oprah was. That's not why that show worked. Okay? It's not. I've literally, like, one of my pastimes I did was I studied like a lot of Oprah programs. Like, I have gone through and have tried to watch as many old episodes as I can on YouTube. People just don't understand. Like, I mean, you just have to be there. But some of the people that I look at that are trying to like act like they're emulating Oprah, I'm like, did you really remember like what Oprah was really doing on that show? Because there's nothing like it on TV right now. Not a black woman, not on a national platform. You see some YouTube stuff, right? But just, yeah, and I think we're missing that. And I guess I like Chanel Jones. I think she's a great voice in media. But I just feel like, I don't want to put that on her, but I just feel like we're just at a time where I don't know, I just wish someone, and if it's not her, it doesn't have to be her, but I just wish that we had a black voice in our journalism ecosystem that on a mainstream level, on a national platform, that could produce that. And I think that the media conglomerates are cowards. Maybe there are people who will want to do that. I can't assume, right, that there was someone who wants to do that. Like, I do think Robin Roberts tries when she gets the opportunity to. Gail, I mean, well, look who our bestie is, right? But we're just missing that right now. And it's tough. It's tough to watch. A generation of people are just not stimulated intellectually. They're not thinking critically. And when I hear people say stuff like, oh, the college education is that third, bullshit. Oprah had people reading East of Eden by John Steinbeck. I didn't have a college degree. And I fucking was doing it in a little old small town called Marion, Arkansas. I made my grandma take me to Walmart, okay, in Forest City in Arkansas, for those who know where Forest City is, to get me to Walmart to get that book. And after I read that book in a week, I went back again to find out more books by him. And I went to my library. I went to the library. I wanted to find Grapes of Wrath. That's what I did that, okay? Thousands, millions of Americans were picking up books. I learned about tiger moms. I think we really we've now tried to gatekeep, not even gatekeep, but we've tried to treat these things like novelties. Like we treat book reading like it's oh, you must be college educated. Bullshit. We were reading books. Okay? It was conversations. You didn't have to, oh, this is the intellectual space I forgot. Like national conversations included everyone. We could debate those things. We're not doing that anymore. Let's not try to act like this is only a college thing. I get so annoyed with my generation. Like younger millennials like myself and Gen Zers, I hate the way that they try to act like we as a society can't do that. We can. We just have to fight for it. We just have to stop drinking the Kool-Aid. What a fucking waste. Charlamagne the God. See, people say to me, why you don't like Charlamagne the God? Why you like the Breakfast Club? Why you like the show? Because what a fucking waste of a platform. You had to be there. And so many people have either forgotten or just, I don't know. But these people say that they're inspired by people like Oprah Winfrey. There's no way that you could be inspired by her and do what you do. I'm inspired by some of her work. It shows in the way in which I do my podcast. But like some of these other people, I'm just like, there's just, yeah. Speaking of TV show hosts, the kid he's from New York. He's a bodega guy, I guess. It's like Desus and Muro when they used to have that show. And he's now going to take over as a new host of Ebro in the Morning. So now he's going to be the new guy. So I guess it's Muro in the Morning now, I guess it's called. But now they found a host, and it's him. And I remember there was a hint that was going to be a New York guy, and everybody's trying to figure out who it was. People thought it was Joe Budden at one point in time. I knew it wasn't Joe Budden because, I mean, that podcast is making more money than anything that Power 97 or whatever can give him. I'm not against it. I think it's a good fit. He's New York. He's not like, he's of color. He has personality. I mean, we that show Jesus Mirror. I mean, he's got street cred. He understands New York very, very well. He has a national presence, so it's not like they're, putting him on. I mean, he's got his own voice and presence. I think it's cool. He's cute. Yeah, he's cute. I think he'll be a good fit. I think he'll be fun. And I think he could bring a little bit of more, I mean, Ebro was doing some things. I'm not going to take that away. Ebro was bringing a different perspective, especially towards the end of his tenure there. But I think he's going to open up another type of discourse on that radio show, which I like. I think he's smart, and I think Earl's going to do a good job. So I'm looking forward to that. I think there's some possibility there. Now, with local politics, there's a lot going on. Shapiro remains corny. I mean, he's about to get ready to do his book tour. We'll talk about that book once it drops. I have some thoughts about it, and a lot of people are going to be talking about that book of his. He remains corny to me. I just see so many video clips and things. I mean, it's just this guy's a lot. This guy is he's a lot. He's a lot. The topic of ICE. But before I get into ICE, we're gonna get into ICE. I want to give y'all an update about something. Because last episode, I talked about the fact that the city of Philadelphia, the park administration, apparently has set their sights on a new Office of LGBT Affairs director. Executive director. I think they took the word executive out. It's just director. Now, from what I've been hearing in the streets is that they found their person, or at least they're close to it, okay? So there is that guy. I named him last episode. A lot of people have been picking up on some things, and they're trying to figure out, is there, there's some people saying some stuff like, is there some shade? Is there some beef? Is there some pork? Listen, I'm just going to say this, okay? I have great sources, okay? David Alexander Jenkins is in the running for that position. I think he is the front runner. I don't know any other candidates. Y'all have asked me questions. I am willing to spill more tea. Because a lot of y'all were like, well, didn't you say it was supposed to happen this past week? Well, yeah, actually. Because here's the thing. They told that to Mark Siegel. They told that to Michael Majubian. These are two LGBTQ leaders in the city. They had hinted at it first. And once they hinted at it, I started sniffing around town, trying to figure out who's in the running, who's in the conversation. David Alexander Jenkins was the name that came up in most conversations because Mr. Jenkins has been running around town acting like he's going to be that next dude. I don't know why people are thinking that people from the Barker administration have ratted to me. Trust me. I keep trying to tell people I am a journalist. I know who to call. I know how to get information. People, come on. You know what I'm saying? People just be fishing. Now, I'm going to say this respectfully. David Alexander Jenkins, if you're going to say my name, don't lie on it, baby. Keep it cute. Keep it cute. Because I'm being very professional. But I done heard, you've been out here talking to certain people and saying certain things. Keep it classy. Keep it classy. Keep it laid like that perm you got. Keep it laid. Let's be, because I said community advocate. I don't know what your job is. A lot of people don't know see, there I go. I'm going to play Magnet by Cardi B and start going. I'm trying to keep it classy. I will say this. The streets are talking. Since I made that announcement that he might be potentially the front runner, a lot of you all got in my DMs and told me some stuff about this man. Let me be very clear with you all. I've known of him for quite some time, over 10 years in some type of capacity. Are we friends? No. Do we have mutual acquaintances? Yes. Has he been in certain circles I am in? Yes. Any close circles? Nah. A distant associate, at best, is what I will say. I guess I can spill a little bit more. I'm going to wait. I'm going to hold some things. Let's see if we get the position. If he does not have the position, if he does not end up getting the position, I'm not even going to say nothing. But there is a strong sense that I've heard from numerous sources close to this issue that he is definitely the front runner. He's been popping up, and I've been doing my own research. I've been observing things. He's been popping up at certain media events. Anything with the park administration, he keeps showing up. He's in the mix. He's been going to different LGBTQ events. The girls have been calling me, suggesting that he's got a big announcement coming and that he's yada, 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 yada. There's been a lot of chatter, okay? That little, what is that? That out event they have, out in the town, out about town event. Some photos taken, some people there came back to me and came to my desk and said, by the way, people be listen, y'all know the room, listen, the Ernest stands be Ernest standing. Will come to me, send me things, tell me things. And I tell you, the best people are never actually like government officials and folks that work for administrations and things like that. They are vague as fuck. They'll tell you like a little piecemeal thing. It's the everyday folk for me. It's the people like you all who listen that will tell me something. And you will tell it to me way much more. People will drop a little crumb here, there. I don't do crumbs. I do pieces. You all will tell me things. And I will be like, oh, like I told you all, I think a couple weeks ago, some of my best stuff. Helen Gim, when Jeff Brown said something about lynching, and I got that video footage, that was crazy. You all just be getting the receipts. And you know that when you send them to me and I vet them, we make news, right? when Larry Krasner last year showed up with that convicted pedophile, right? Stephen Jones. The conversation, that man was a ward leader. He stepped down as a ward leader after I reported that. We took a pedophile out of the Democratic Party. You all made that happen because you knew coming to me was going to make it happen. So the person who tipped me off about the arena deal not happening, right? These are the things, right, that make change. But you won't know who to go to because some of these other people, they'll know the truth and they won't say anything because they're too scared. We're fearless over here. And so I say David Alexander Jenkins' name because sources have told me that man is most likely going to be the next director of LGBT affairs. And I think because of the buzz, the Park administration hates to see me win. They hate to see me get them because they try so hard to keep things from me. Child. It's not going to happen. I'm going to always know. There's things I know that I pretend I don't know. Y'all know. There's people in the administration sleeping with staffers. There's people that have lost jobs to sleeping with certain people in the administration, senior ups. I can name names. I can leave it on the playground. I'm not going to do it right now, but stop fucking playing with me. I'll say that. Stop fucking playing with me. Okay? I don't need anyone that I know that works for the administration to leak anything to me. Let's be fucking clear. I've been doing this. I've been leaking things before certain people got hired. I wish people would stop playing with me. I wish people would stop insulting my intelligence. Cut it out. Cut it out. And I think sometimes they think that there's only one way to carve a turkey. Just because that's how the administration does their own policies does not mean that journalists like me, that's the way I do it. I know so much. I've spared so much. Because honestly, I pick and choose the time in which things matter. Now, if there was something that was an immediate threat to Philadelphians, I felt like it was something like that, I would. But there's certain things that is not, there's stuff that's not like that. That's just it's not a good look. And eventually it will lead to a problem. And when it gets to that point, I'll disclose. But let's be very clear. I know a lot of stuff that goes on in administration. Some of it is just not necessary, important information. Some stuff is yeah, people should know this. But I just want y'all to know, people need to cut the cap. This administration needs to cut the cap. Period. Cut the cap. Stop lying. Stop lying to people. Be honest. Be yourself. Be you. I can't believe what you say because I see what you do. I cannot watch what you say, don't watch what we say, watch what we do. Choices. These are all choices.
So this week's episode of On the Record with Ernest Owens, I got a chance to interview Council Member Kendra Brooks around ICE, the topic of ICE. ICE is in Philadelphia. There's no doubt about it. There's been a lot of coordinated efforts, again, not dealing with the Park administration, on how to keep Philadelphians informed about what happens when they encounter ICE. ICE is in the city. It's here. It's been here for quite some time, since the Trump administration. But a lot of people have not really taken a chance to really understand what are their rights, around the immigration and customs enforcement. And she's been doing this since last summer. She's held these, quote, know your rights trainings for community members to understand how to interact with these officers. And she's been steadfast in that work, even when others have tried to suggest that it's not necessary. And that's not a good response because people are being arrested. Mind you, they're not being murdered, right? But they are being arrested. It's happening at the Criminal Justice Center, the CJ, they call it the CJS. It's happening in other parts of the city. And we see people like Keisha Hudson, who is the chief defender at the public defender's office, that is ramping up resources, the little resources that she do have, to create a whole immigration unit to inform families and people who have been impacted by this. They don't have access to lawyers, but they deserve to have legal rights and benefits. And the public defender's office is providing those services, even though they're being underfunded by the Park administration.
They asked for a certain increase. It was not met. And they're doing the work that is necessary to address this issue. And so there's been an interesting level of silence from certain elected officials at city council. Some have spoken up. Of course, you can imagine people like Rue Landau and Jamie Gautier at city council, but you don't really hear much from the city council president. You don't really hear much from some of the more established members of the Democratic Party within city council. And some of that feels like it's their allegiance to Mayor Cheryl Parker, who has said virtually nothing on this topic since the killing of Renee in Minnesota. We haven't heard anything. And please listen to this latest episode. It is the link in my bio on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. Of course, you can go to my website, ernestowens.com, and there's a playlist for On the Record with Ernest Owens there. And you can look at the most recent episode, which is mine with Council Member at Large, Kendra Brooks. And I took callers and I spoke to different people on their perspective on the issue. And there was one caller in particular that was, kind of, I feel like a little bit of a stand for Mayor Parker. They came at me a little in a certain type of way that was like suggesting that, every time I talk about Mayor Parker, I'm so negative and she's doing the work, and said sometimes silence is golden. And that really stuck with me, this notion that silence is golden, that in this situation, this is the right response. And I had to clarify to them that I'm not negative around what the mayor is doing in regards to ICE, because I don't know what she's doing and she hasn't told anyone what she's doing. And I'm very dead ass that we, the people, including myself, want to know what is the plan. I can't be critical of something that I haven't seen. I haven't seen anything. I'm critical of the lack of not knowing what's going on. Before I can agree to disagree, or to agree or disagree, either way, I would like to know what is happening. And so many people, well, I wouldn't say so many people, but a few of these supporters of hers are in many ways speaking for her and throwing out possibilities. And see, this is how stan culture works, because we see this often with obsessive fans towards celebrities. They are often gaslighting those who are asking questions or critical, and demanding that everyone consider all of these factors that have not either been confirmed or denied by said person. We see this on a regular basis. I remember, for example, last year, there were some fans of Nelly who they assumed that Nelly may have not known that he was performing for the Trump inauguration, or that he was supportive of Trump. Like, there was all these, first of all, that was bullshit, right? But at the time, before Nelly had spoke on the record, all his fans were online saying, why are we assuming the worst? We don't know if it's true. He might be performing at a party in DC, but it's not related to Trump. Oh, he's not a Trump supporter. He's dating Ashanti. Ashanti's not a Trumper. She wouldn't allow that. It was all of these like conspiracies and hypotheses and all of this. And I kept saying at the time, it says inauguration party. There's no way that Nelly was not aware. If you don't want to believe the worst about Nelly, you can say that. But everything that we have seen is suggesting that. And until Nelly outwardly speaks out against Trump or his role in this activity, we can assume either the worst or have to just remain awkward that there's no clarity. Well, of course, Nelly did speak with an ABC reporter at the time, and he pretty much was very clear that he respects the office and that, he's very aware that he's speaking, and he doesn't really see it as a political issue on one way or the other. And he took some time to even throw jabs at former Vice President Kamala Harris. And that's when people began to lose their shit. But again, what did all those stands say? Did they ever go back into Chewbacca's cave and come out and say they were wrong? I guess maybe a few might have done that, but a lot of them just went silent and went ghost. And that's what I feel like is happening here. A lot of Sherelle Parker fans or supporters are trying to get out in front of the issue. Unless you are her chief of staff, her spokesperson, or someone from her senior leadership team that is on the record to speak on behalf of the administration, I'm sorry, but until we have an actual explanation and hear anything from the mayor on what the plan is, I don't want to assume what the plan is. I know in the past, members of our administration that when it pertained to Trump, they had said they don't want to poke the bear. Is that the case here? Because if that's the case, we can only imagine what that looks like, right? But again, when you don't say anything, you leave it up for imagination, or you can frustrate people who simply want answers. So that's what we're dealing with right now. And you can listen to the episode to hear how Kendra Brooks had responded to those concerns and what other listeners were saying on the show. But it was quite the episode for sure. And it's been a great season 2. Now, 2 things I want to address. The Black Panther Party, the Philadelphia Black Panther Party, has been out here talking about ICE in very frank, bold ways. They're armed. They're in the streets. They want the smoke. They're not ducking any smoke. This is serious. We are now seeing civilians armed, militant, and pretty much saying that they see ICE act out in a certain way, they will protect and defend others. Situations like this is what I call a match on a bomb site. One false move can trigger a reaction that can lead to unfathomable proportions. We need leadership right now. We need governmental leadership right now. This is what our taxpayers' dollars pay for. We need a plan. We need to hear from the chief executive officer of this city, and that's the mayor. And I do wonder, and in a sense, fear, if she does not say anything in a proactive manner, which any proactive is any moment like right now, where there's no reported murder or shooting or any type of mayhem. I fear that it will be too late by the time that she do. I fear that she will wait until something happens in a very detrimental way. Because there has been things happening, right? There are reports of ICE, right? But until there is something catastrophic, I feel like that's when we will hear from her. And I quite frankly think that'll be when it's too late. I don't know what the strategy is. But right now, thinking this is going to blow away, it's only a matter of time. So, speaking of mayors, this has come up, and a lot of you all asked me about it, and I do want to address it. Mamdani, New York City Mayor, Zoran Mamdani. I don't know what's up with homeboy. I don't. Because, So none of his deputy mayors are black. There's one that is Latino. People are outraged. People are disgusted. People are disappointed in him. Some who have been longtime critics of Mamdani have noted that, they saw this coming and have linked this with non-black progressives showing up and showing out. Mamdani is not black. He's not Latino. It just seems like the anti-blackness. New York City is a very diverse city. You cannot run New York City without black people. To have a mayor, to be the successor to a black mayor, and not have a black deputy mayor when you're not black yourself is very disappointing and unacceptable. And there have been people who have come out and said, well, he's got a black man as a chancellor looking over public schools. Miss me with that. Why is it that we have to choose one person? There should be diversity and variety. The fact that there's only one brown person, like you talking about black and brown, right? No black and one brown. You got one Latino person as a deputy mayor. When you knew the black vote was crucial to you beating Cuomo and then later beating Eric Adams. This is the shit. This is the shit. I have not completely thrown him out the window as far as having hope, but this is unacceptable. It's not good. It's not a good look. As a black man, I don't live in Philadelphia. I don't live in New York City. I still live in Philly, but I don't live in New York City. But I have friends of mine who really showed up for him, and he knows better. You cannot be out here quoting Jadakiss in your inauguration address and not having a single black person in that senior leadership cabinet like that. It's not okay. It's not okay. I'm not feeling it, Zoran. I don't know what to tell you, Mr. Mondani. Look, I don't live in New York City, but mm-mm. Mm-mm. Something's going on. It's not a good look. I just feel like that coalition, that campaign had more diversity. And there's people fighting with the progressives. I'm not the progressives, with the moderates. People are attacking, so there are some progressives that are attacking black women who are speaking out about this. Not I. Mm-mm. I don't think this is acceptable at all. There's no excuse, in my opinion. I mean, you couldn't find any black people that was qualified for those roles. Yeah. It's a chop for me, personally. For me, it's a chop on that decision. Not his overall administration, but it's not sticking well with me. Fetterman is in trouble. There is efforts. There's a coordinated effort. I mean, Fetterman has been in trouble for a minute, but there is a political investment in progressives that are organizing around this effort to pretty much have, different people. Like there's some groups right now that are organizing. Yes, organizing. They are getting together to try to, how do I put this? They're getting together to get people to ask for refunds from campaign contributions, to really normalize this idea of not funding his campaigns. He's been a little slippery on fundraising for the past couple of quarters, but they're ramping up for the reality of him being out of count. Some food for thought. Some interesting food for thought. And then before I get to Ask Ernest, there has been a lot of chatter about 2016, a lot of nostalgia around 2016. I posted something that happened 10 years ago. Wow, 10 years ago. You know what that was? A throwback of the cover. I was on the front cover of Metro in the summer of 2016. Yeah, nearly a decade ago, y'all. Isn't that crazy? Like that Justin Timberlake spat was like 10 years ago. So much went down in 2016. That was a very epic year. I mean, of course, the election, which was devastating at the end. But I mean, neighborhood racism, I was covering racism in the neighborhood. That really took off. Like, I remember the eye candy video came out in October of 2016, where Daryl DiPiano said the N word, and was caught on camera. The eye candy owner, eye candy no longer exists. But this was that video, and it was a protest, and Nellie Fitzpatrick was in that position. It's been like 10 years, y'all, of all that. I remember I wrote my first story. I got hired at Philly Mag. That was 10 years ago. Yeah, that was 10 years ago. I was LGBTQ editor. That was in 2016. And it's funny because at that time, at that point in my career, I was 24 years old. I was 24. And I look at those pictures, I look at myself now, I'm like, damn, yeah, I aged well. I don't look like what I've been through. I aged well. I still look good. Millennials, we got it. I don't know. We may got the skincare, the aging on lock. Like, we made it. We really did. Like, I look at those old pictures, I look at myself and I'm like, yeah, I look good. I definitely do. I've gone through ups and downs throughout the past decade as far as my appearance and things, but I got back on time. I got back on schedule. Listen, y'all wasn't going to play with me on my 10-year reunion. But there's a lot of nostalgia around 2016. I mean, Moonlight, one of the best films ever made, came out then. Beyonce's Lemonade, one of the best albums ever, came out then. I mean, a lot was going on. Anti by Rihanna came out in 2016, her last studio album. Shit. It was a summer, wasn't it? It was a time. It was a time, y'all. 2016 was epic. It was a time. Formation. The year of formation, y'all. Like, oof. A lot of good things were happening in 2016. Like I said, great cinema, Moonlight, great albums, Lemonade. The black artistry was on a different wave. I mean, that Super Bowl performance with Coldplay, Bruno Mars, when that music didn't sound as dated as it do now, Beyonce and Black Panther attire, like, woo, 2016 was a year. We didn't know how good we had it. Obama was still president. Man, what a time. What a time. What a time. AI was not in the conversation. Snapchat was still hot. TikTok did not exist. Thank God. Man, 2016, people were still reading magazines and books. I mean, the world was so different. It felt promising, y'all. Like, it felt like, yeah. Mm. What a time. What a time. So, this week's Ask Ernest, you all, okay, I guess I have something to say on this. I guess because I'm married and you all see me on social media, and myself and my husband, Mr. Johnson, I guess we're somewhat public facing couple. You all wanted to ask me about this Kristy and Desmond Scott divorce. So they're influencers. They're a black couple. They were a black couple. I guess they're not together anymore. And they were making a lot of money. And here's the funny thing before I get into this read. I didn't really know much about them. Like, I don't have TikTok. You all know I'm anti-TikTok. I didn't really know much about them. I wasn't really following on social. But it seemed like the moment I started reading articles about them or stuff in the press, then that's when I started getting Desmond Scott's content on my timeline. I don't really see Kristy's stuff, but Desmond, the ex-husband, I guess, the new ex-husband of her, I started seeing his videos, and like, he likes to cook for his kids. He's not really that good of a cook. I feel like he gets these like little meal cook kits, and he's at this night. They got a nice ass house. That house they got, that multi-million-dollar house, that's a nice ass house. It's so eerie though. It's giving me like Get Out vibes, but it is a cute house from what I've seen. I don't know how I feel about minimalist design. I shouldn't be all up in a house like that, but I feel like it's like very minimalist. Like, I don't know. I need a little bit of liveliness. It just feels very like everything is very like not present. I don't know how I feel about minimalist houses. Like I know hotels like that, like the AKA, they're very minimalist in their design. Like everything's like very like Art Deco-y and things. I don't. I mean, if they like it, I love it. I don't know. I'm not really into like. I mean, interior design is nice if a person can design it, but I like a house that got, I don't know, what's that word? Character. Like my house got things. We got bookshelves. We got pictures hung up. We got nostalgia. We got vintage furniture. We got new shit. It looks like someone lives in our place. Okay. I feel like someone lives in where I live. Some of these people's place, I'm like, do you live there? You know, do you actually live there? Um, you know, I just feel like that's the $1 million question I'm always asking. Like, do you live where you say you live? Because I feel like people are out here all the time getting hyped for people's places and things. I'm just like, that's cool and all, but do you live there? I don't feel like anyone lives there. I feel like a house needs to be a home. They got a house. I don't know if it's a home. You know what I mean? But anyway, I've seen him cook at the place, at their house, or at the. I guess they don't live there anymore. I don't think he lives there anymore. She got the house now. But long story short, he would cook these meals, and he wasn't much of a cooker. I mean, the way the portion sizes were set up, I was like, eh. But I feel like they were getting like sponsored. They were clearly getting sponsorship deals and meal prep things and things he would cook for her or himself or whatever. But I guess he's going to continue to do his content. That's what it is. They've put out a statement already. It's been very vague but telling. I guess what I read from it is that their relationship wasn't working out. They separated. During the separation, he did some other things. I guess you would consider it cheating or stepping out, whatever the case might be, allegedly. And that made them finally decide that they need to permanently divorce. And now they are, but he's still going to be a father for their kids. They have these two adorable young boys, and he's going to be a father for them. He's going to be a boy dad, I guess. He's going to show up for his kids, and they're going to, they're going to respect their boundaries, and that's what it is. She's kind of been, throwing shots and being like let everybody know that she got the place and she lives there. He's moving out. We don't really know who he cheated on her for, or if there was infidelity, you could assume that was the case because there's irreconcilable differences. But yeah, that's what we know. Here's the thing. I didn't know much about them until I just found out about them. They're like a light-skinned couple. It is what it is. They got married very, very young, like in their early 20s. They've been married for like a long time. I don't want to project because, but they put their business out there. So I guess I shall we? Here's what I'll say. I'll speak in general. Be mindful about the nature of any marriage that you get into. What keeps the marriage? What sustains the marriage? People always say you don't want to have a marriage that's very high profile. I don't necessarily agree with that because I feel like at the end, I think people need to be real about the nature of what it means to be in a marriage and relationship. I guess Mr. Johnson and I will be together as a couple for 12 years this upcoming February. We'll be married for 5 years come this October. I guess we've been around for over a decade, so I guess that we know a couple of things. What I will say is that your relationship is between you and the person you're with. Now, if you have kids, that gets a little bit more complicated. But if you don't have kids, like myself and Mr. Johnson, your marriage, your relationship is between you and the person you're with. The understanding is between you and them. The happiness is between you and them. Why you're invested in it should be between you and them, right? Why you're in the relationship, what drives it. Now, like I said, kids aside, because kids are complicated. I know people will stay in a marriage and stay with somebody because of kids. And I think that isn't necessary. I don't have kids, so I don't know how to answer that and address that. But for my people who don't have kids, okay? So for couples that are engaged, that are in a relationship and kids are not in the conversation, heed my advice. If kids are in the conversation, it's a little bit complicated. I don't want to meddle into that. It's complicated. I shouldn't. I don't know how to tell a person not to be somewhere with kids. Now, what I will say, this is what I will say as somebody who has lived and had parents that were married and divorced and all the things. If the relationship is very volatile, toxic, and very hostile in a very visible, verbal way, that is not a good environment for a child to see or any children to see. Like, y'all need to go ahead and separate, because if you think being there for the kids means you all yelling and screaming and arguing with each other, that's not good for kids to see either. You're better off co-parenting outside the house than being present if your presence is toxic. So by all means, please do not make your kids the excuse for why you're insufferable and miserable, and the kids are seeing that and feeling that. It's not a good environment for them. And actually will create an environment where they might actually be turned off from marriage or in a relationship, because they're not seeing a healthy practice of a relationship. So if you're in an environment where you're not practicing healthy, mature ways to show them and demonstrate a relationship or a marriage, that can actually make them not want to be in one. I can't tell you how many people I know that are afraid to be in a long-term relationship or be married because their parents were married and did not exhibit a healthy way to resolve conflict. They did not demonstrate what it means to be in a loving and supporting marriage. And that will then traumatize and trigger some people not to. That wasn't my situation, and that was not my husband's situation. Even though we both were raised by parents that would later get divorced, it was important to recognize and learn, sometimes vicariously, on what they did wrong. And sometimes you can learn that and have those conversations and understand, what did those people do wrong and what will we do differently? And so I learned from those type of broken marriages to say, okay, one, be honest and upfront about your goals. If you evolve and change as a person, how does that be an asset rather than a hindrance, right? But also be in a situation where you're not keeping someone hostage. One thing that I've come up in my mind is that marriage is a choice. It's not an obligation. It is a choice. And the way that you strengthen it is by maintaining communication, being who you are, allowing people to grow, allowing that everyone is here to support, and you're helping a person grow with you. And you recognize that there's love in that growth. Like, the whole thing should be rooted in love. Like, love should be what brings you all together, in addition to maturity and transparency and communication, all those things too. Like, love alone is not enough, but love should be the glue, right? Because that's the difference between a friend and a husband or a spouse, right? What's the difference there? There needs to be passion and compassion and all the things, right, that makes it there. So that's the foundation, is that you're in a relationship with the person you're dating. I say this because I do observe that there are some people that get in marriages or in relationships where it feels like they're in it for other reasons beyond the person they're with. And when you get in a relationship for the sake of looking at it as a stepping stone to other things, that speaks to you, where you begin to treat marriage as if it's an accessory, like as if it's a checkoff list to a goal, then that's when there's problems. When it becomes an accessory, when it becomes, oh, I got a husband, I got a degree, I got this, check, check, check. That's not the way that you should treat a marriage. Because a marriage is not an item. Okay, it's a lifestyle. It is a way of life. It's a life decision. A degree, jewelry, a dog, a new car, a new house, that's property. Those are items that can come and go. Deciding to commit yourself to another person for the rest of your life is a serious life decision that you cannot treat and take lightly. And there's some people that I feel like get involved in a marriage or relationship and they treat it like it's an accessory, as if it's something that they want to achieve, like it's like a life goal, as if it's some type of merit thing. Here's the problem with that. Treating marriage like it's a goal, in a sense of like, oh, I want to get married. Okay, you get married, and now what? Now what? Did you prepare your mind and your emotions and yourself for what will come? Are you ready for all of the things that come with that chapter? Because it's not an item. Like, a ring is an item. And so when people say, I want the ring, listen very carefully to that. Do you want the ring or do you want marriage? Because a ring is not synonymous with marriage. There are some people that's obsessed with the symbolism of marriage without the actual formation of what it really means. They are not actually invested in being there and supporting someone else in the same way that a person should support them. They're not invested in reciprocity whatsoever. They literally just want to say they're married. They just literally want to say they're a husband and a wife. They just literally want to say, my husband, my boo, my thing, my husband, my man, my man. That's all they want. They just want to perform it. They just like the aesthetic of it. They actually have no interest in what it really means to be there for someone as a lifelong commitment. Now, I could say that's how some of you all were parenting, but that would be too much shade. And why is this? Because if you look at how a person treats other aspects of their life, that will tell you why a marriage does not work for them. If everything they're doing is for the look of things, the look, the validation of other things, if every aspect of what they do is seeking validation, which all humans, right? Everyone wants to be validated, right? That is a human trait. We want to feel loved and nurtured. We want some sense of approval. But when you're driven by that solely, or the majority of what your drive is by external validation, that's a recipe for disaster for any relationship, whether you're married or you're in a long-term relationship. That's a recipe for disaster. Because at that point, everything you do is seeking the validation of others. And so there are people that I've seen that do not last in relationships. And I know it's going to be a disaster because they're seeking the validation of other people, their parents, their friends, social media, all these things. And to me, if you're dating people for the validation of external factors, including your friends, your families, other people. Now, let me be very clear. It's not to say that you shouldn't seek someone, right, that a spouse that is comparable to your friendships and your networks and your social groups. Yes, I do think there is some compatibility that should be there because you never want someone that no one in your family or anyone else does not like. Like it's just you and them against the world. That can be a red flag. But at the same time, you should understand that intimacy and discretion in your marriage is key. Do my friends know everything going on with the person I'm married to? No. Do they know every detail, every intimate detail of what we do, what argument we've had, what sexual experiences that we've had? Do they need to know? No, I don't believe that. I think I think that intimacy and discretion is important in a marriage. Like, should your friends be completely ghost? No, I don't believe that. I think there's a balance and everyone knows that balance. Let's be very clear. Everyone knows that balance. Whether you choose to know it or not is up to you. But I think most common sense, you know when something is intimate for the marriage and it's something that is open for discussion with friends. And I have definitely walked that fine line. Like I think it's important too. I've come from the mindset, and maybe this is my Southern roots, but I want to tell this to some of the young girls and young bulls out here in relationships. Let me be very clear with you all, because this is how you become a pain in the ass to your friends and your family. If you're not going to leave them, please stop disparaging the person you're with to your friends and your family. Do not drag your spouse out. If you're going to stay with them and you're going to rock it out, then please do not make them a piñata. Because let me tell you something about your friends compared to the person you're with. Your friends are not married to them. So if you are making a point to drag their name, disparage them, talk about all the problems y'all got going on, understand that your friends and your family are going to inherit that disgruntlement with them long after you done moved on. And if you're going to fucking move on, then there's no need to bring the conversation up. I have had friends or associates, because some of these people are not my friends anymore, because, I mean, clearly they can't, no shade. But there are people I've been friends with over the years where they will be very much, oh my goodness, the person they're married to or they're dating is the worst person ever. They did this, they do that, they're unfaithful, they're blah, 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 all this shit. Or they're in relationships with people like that where they're just not faithful, they're just this, there's a problem, this, that, and the third. As the bestie or as the family member or whatever, I can look at that person, that is not a piece of shit. I don't want this person with my friend. I'm protective because friends and family will be protective. So naturally, they're going to be cynical. They're going to be a little bit like, I don't know about that, right? Let me tell you something. You done moved on. You done say, you know what? I'm good off of Whatever that issue was, I'm still with them. That's my baby. I love them. Okay, but you gotta understand, your friends are not crazy like that. They're not dicking, that person's not dicking or slicking or whatever you down. So while y'all done resolve that argument, that issue, everybody else is still sitting there looking at them like, nah, they didn't, I don't know how I feel about them. They done looked at them as a red flag. So if you're not going to leave them, I'm not saying you can't share disagreements. I think there's a healthy balance, right? But do not put all of that business out on Front Street, because when you decide to stay and you decide to stick with them regardless, that will create the friction and tension in the relationship and dynamic. I'm not saying you got to be fake and act like everything's perfect. Now, if everything is perfect, it is perfect. But it is also a moment to also recognize that if you ain't going to go anywhere, or you done figured it out how you going to move, maybe you should reserve some of the thoughts that you have. That was one thing I decided in my current marriage, my relationship, that listen, you've been with somebody for over 10 years, there's going to be disagreements about certain things. But I've realized through time that some things I want to take a time to reflect on and think about. Vice versa. But do I want to involve everybody in the conversation and mix? No. Because if you done moved on from the argument or disagreement or situation, everybody else is on a different type of time and wave. So it's very important to understand when to hold it and fold it. Because sometimes people, I feel like, get in a space where they are just, it's aggression. It's aggressive. And we got to be mindful about what that looks like and who that involves. So, yeah, I think, it's important to understand what that looks like. It's important to understand what that looks like and how they move and how they navigate. Because, listen, sometimes, we have people, we got people that are going in one direction and going another, and we need to know, everybody has their ups and downs, and so it's important to really keep in mind what that feels like, what that means. And I'm laying this foundation because I know y'all like, well, what does that do to Kristy Desmond? I would say people like Kristy Desmond. And I'm not talking about them in particular, but I'm saying I'm building this case up before I get to my conclusion, how I feel about that and about what I see online with a lot of these type of dynamics. But just a pro tip to all the young folks out there. Don't emotionally dump about your relationship, all the details to all your friends and family folks. Because again, if you're going to stay with them, and now if you're leaving, by all means, if you're getting out the door, drag them. Let us know what's up. Yeah. Get out of it. If you really trying to leave and you done, go ahead and let us know so that we will know that when you done, we leaving too. I had a friend recently got a divorce, and they began to really express some serious concern. It was some serious, but when they was ready to get out, that prepared us to know that, you know what, that's my friend. I'm rocking with my friend. They not with this person anymore. We need to all act accordingly. Because sometimes this loyalty be happening in friendships where people still want to be friends with the ex. I'm always like, whoever you came with is who you leave with. Unless that person did something very violent or toxic, and you know what I mean. Okay? Let's be very clear. And I mean that like serious stuff, like if they were abusive or whatever. Sometimes a dynamic can change something, okay? A couple years ago, I was friends with somebody that really cheated on the person they were with in a very dirty way that was fucked up. In that situation, I was like, the way they did that, the way it went down, it was very messy. I won't get into all the details. I don't want to out this person. But it was a situation that was just very disrespectful. Very disrespectful. It was cancelable behavior. And I decided to exit that friendship. I was cool with both of the people involved at the time. They were married. But I decided to exit that situation and be friends with the other person in the situation. I was friends with both of them equally in a way. But that person, though, they really I just felt like how they did the situation, I just felt like, that wasn't okay. So sometimes if it is a situation where everybody can see it for what it is, you have the right to exit in the situation. However, if you're best friends and your homies with somebody who's married, and that's your friend, you came in, that's your homie, and they leaving. You leaving with the friend. If you're a real friend, in my opinion. I think it's messy to be friends with both people. That's messy. I don't believe in that. And I had a situation where I saw somebody do that and it got messy. And I was like, you know what? That's not okay. I believe that who you friends with in a situation, unless they did something that was very abusive or very whatever, if they decide to separate, you go with the friend you came with. That's what real friends do. Okay? When I look at my previous relationships, when I broke up with the person, my friends, my real friends, they left with me. It wasn't none of this whole, I'm going to be, don't get in the middle of that. You leave with what you leave with. You come with what you come with. And if people don't want to do that, then be thoughtful about how you want to keep that relationship repaired. And if it separates, it separates. But I do believe in that. That's just my belief. Some people might call it immature, unpopular, whatever. This is called Ask Ernest. That's just my take. I'm very big on that. If I'm friends, who I come in with is who I leave with, unless the person is just a horrible person. So, for example, hypothetically, right? Let's say Diddy and Cassie were married, and you was friends with Diddy, and Diddy and Cassie break up, and we know what Diddy did to Cassie and all things. I wouldn't necessarily be rocking with Diddy. I would probably be chilling with Cassie. I would go on Cassie's side. But a lot of times, I would say it's never like that. It normally is people break up, they amicably split, right? Halle Berry, Eric Benet, they broke up, you know what I'm saying? They amicably split. Okay, Holly's friends, y'all Halle Berry's friends. Y'all go stay with Halle Berry. Eric Benet friends, y'all stay with Eric Benet. Y'all, y'all can be cordial, but you better pick a side and you better stay the fuck there. If you decide to cross over, you better understand that means you're throwing your friendship away with the other person. But you better pick a side and stay there. I think it gets a little mixy when people try to, get all, play both. I don't like that. Don't be both sides with it now. You pick a position, you stay there. But bringing this all back full circle, I do think it's important for adults in the room to understand your relationship is your relationship. I feel like Kristy and Desmond's marriage, from my observations, just looking at some of the content and doing my research, I feel like it became a show. And I feel like they were in it. It was a business partnership. It felt like they were in it for reasons that were not themselves. And that's how infidelity and other things take shape, because it feels like, based on the body language that I was reading off of them, that it almost felt like everybody expected them to be together. So therefore, that's why they were together. There was love. I mean, I'm not going to say there wasn't love there. Anytime somebody's married to somebody having kids with them, clearly there's love. But I feel like as towards the end of that relationship, it becomes clear that they were almost expected to perform a marriage. They were performing a relationship, that they were performing these things. And maybe there was some love there because now they've split, right? So, they could have stayed and played it out, because there's some people that are like that. Like, I feel like, but at the same time, because of who maybe the other person was involved in the marriage, it couldn't last that way. But you do see relationships like that where people are like, look, we are here. Some people got understandings. Like Will and Jada has an understanding. Y'all got to mind y'all business. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, they have an understanding. Their relationship works for them. It may not work for how I would get down, but that's not the commitment I made. You got to understand that different people have understandings with each other and certain bonds, and they got something going on with each other. They clearly want to stay together. They want to be together through death do them part. They got to understand about what this looks like for them. It may not work for us personally, but that's what they got going on. Again, it is an understanding between the people that's together. It ain't our part to assume what people's relationship dynamics are. It looks like their relationship is rooted in monogamy. And therefore, the idea of somebody else being with somebody else was not going to work in that relationship, in that marriage. Again, there's an understanding that they had. A social contract was broken, and it seems like it was not replaceable. So therefore, that's how it's irreconcilable, which means they had irreconcilable differences, which means that that's why they got divorced. How do we avoid a blow up though? Being proactive, right? And there's so many of you all that have been projecting on saying their relationship goals. I want to be very clear. I don't really believe in relationship goals. I don't know people's relationship. I've never liked that relationship goals. I mean, maybe you could say relationship aesthetic goals. Maybe you like the look of it. Maybe the goal is that you like the look of it. Like the look of it looks good. But I don't necessarily know if the word relationship goals I don't find that desirable. Like you don't really know what agreements they have. You don't know. I remember for a long time, everybody was like, they want that Will and Jada kind of love. You didn't even know what kind of love they had. Remember that song by it was by Alicia Keys. And she had that song about unbreakable or whatever love, whatever she was talking about. I don't even want her kind of relationship goals. I think Swizz Beatz and Alicia Keys, if it works for them, it works for them. But that situation was a little messy, though. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. But again, I don't know what understandings they have. How could I say relationship goals? My relationship is the motherfucking goal. I'm in a relationship. My goal was to be in a relationship. My relationship is the fucking goal. What do y'all mean relationship goals? You don't know these people. People like Barack and Michelle. Don't seem like the way in which they came to understand each other was a goal that I would have wanted from our relationship. I don't want to be with somebody for years that I don't like. Just not my thing. They got to understand it. They worked it out. They're in love with each other. Cool. I don't think I want to be with someone for a period, like an extended period, long time. Like a very, very long time and just be disliking them. Like I don't like them, but I'm with them. I don't necessarily know if that's what I want to do. The straights got something going on. I will say that there is no cis-het relationship that I look at as relationship goals because I'm queer and because the man I'm with, we're gay. I will never model my relationship after cis-het people. Like, and that's not to say like sexually, like let's be very clear. We're in a monogamous relationship. We have an understanding that our relationship is monogamous. Now, other queer relationships and other folks, they don't believe in monogamy. That's their business. This is a monogamous relationship right here. That's just an understanding that we have. I'm not looking down at other people and how they get down. I'm not. That's what we have. That's our relationship. I think people, again, can evolve, right? I think maybe Desmond might wanted something different. Who knows what the difference was? I've heard of people who got in relationships and their relationships evolved into different things. That's people's prerogative. But again, people have the right to evolve and find new senses of agency and purpose in their life. But I do think what's important is that a lot of the ways that you can avoid these types of breakups and these types of public meltdowns is when people are aware of why they got in the relationship. I think with this particular couple, they never really seemed like they had the time to really get to understand each other outside of creating content. I feel like so much of what they were doing was so public facing that they never got a chance to really understand each other and understand what this would do to their relationship. Publicity and all those things can impact the relationship. And I don't think it's impacting a relationship where no one can make someone cheat or no one can make someone cheat or step out of a relationship or whatever. That's an individual's choice. But I think what's important is that understanding a person that you're with, their values, their principles, how they feel, and the dynamic of the relationship and how they feel about exposure is important. There are times where, listen, Mr. Johnson and I are very public-facing individuals. Individually, we are. Publicly, we because of just who we are, we go out to some things together. But we don't feel like we have to go to everything together. There are events that he will go to because that's what he has to do for work. It was so funny. One of my good friends, Karan, when she recently mentioned, he said, people are always like, oh, you always out and about in this town. And people were saying that we had a retreat this weekend. And there was like, you're always out. You're always going out. And Karan mentioned in this moment, and he listens to the podcast a lot. So just text me when we get to this part, text me. But he said, well, he's got work. That's work. And that's a fact. A lot of the things that I do, as you all know, I consider work. I'm fortunate enough that it's social in a way that doesn't feel exhausting or laborious at times, but that's work. And I've recognized the importance of separating my relationship and my marriage from my work. There is some overlap, and sometimes they do intersect in a very pretty, beautiful way. But it should not be heavily involved. Work does not heavily define the relationship that we have. There are some people, especially in this influencer life, right, that these people have had, where that relationship felt like it was work. I don't really know. Everything they did felt like it was connected to work. They had kids. The kids became integrated in the content. Like, it began to feel like everything about what they were doing was work rather than actual a bond. And so it's very important to understand sometimes you can go out on a date and you can go out to dinner and have a good time, and it's not everyone's business. Sometimes you can just go out on vacation and do something as a couple, and it's not, the details and nature of it and everything is not up for public consumption. That's what intimacy and discretion looks like. And sometimes you do. You want to shotch and boo. Sometimes you want to, put on. And sometimes you want to have fun. But you got to make sure that it's a mutual understanding and respect for that. And understand each other, to understand those boundaries and understand what that encapsulates. Rather than being stubborn and being in your way of saying, this is what I do, this is what I always do, this is who I am. No. And I think what I read from this relationship is that it feels as though someone in that marriage wanted to do this, and this is what felt like a chore rather than an activity. Maybe at one point in time, it felt fun, it felt exciting, and at a certain point, it began to feel performative and forced. And when it begins to feel like it's not fun, that's when marriage becomes whatever. It's not going to always be fun, but there's got to be a level of spark and investment and emotional engagement that you have with the person you're with so that it can always be intact. Relationships fall apart when communication falls apart. Trust becomes evaporated. And people feel like they have to act in their own best interest outside of the person they're with. That loyalty and that trust, if it's not there in the relationship, it will crumble. There's not enough money, sponsorships, and things in the world that can keep a couple together if they don't have trust, respect, and love for each other. Unconditionally. So, just wanted to put that food for thought out there. But that's my 2 cents on that. I really, hope that both of them move on if they want to get in a relationship or not, and with different people. But I hope that they really take that in consideration and not feel obligated, not feel like a trap. Feel like they're in a trap. Feel like they're trapped in their own marriage or anything like that. Because that can be devastating. I've witnessed people who've been trapped in engagement for nearly half a decade, hoping that they were going to eventually turn that engagement ring into a wedding ring, and it just didn't happen. People who was led on by someone to commit to them in a certain type of way, and they did all the things only for them to still fall short. Take that time to get to really know the person you're getting with through thick and thin. I'll leave it at that. So this week with movies, Oscar nominations are coming this Thursday. I'm excited, okay? We're going to finally find out who's getting nominated for an Oscar. This is it. A lot of people are predicting what's going to happen Thursday, January 22nd. There'll be 24 categories, okay? Predicting this year's Oscar nominations, some people are arguing is using just math, right? Who's going to get what? And some people think it's a mathematical equation, There's always going to be shockers, but I'm just paying attention to the math, right? Look, Best Picture, it's interesting, right? I think one battle after another is the film that's guaranteed to be nominated, right? You got about 10 films up for grabs that can be nominated. In my opinion, the 10 that I'm betting on is One Battle After Another, Sinners, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, Frankenstein, Sentimental Value, Train Dreams, It Was Just an Accident, Bugonia, and The Secret Agent. That's who I think is going to get nominated. Pay attention to those 10 films. They're going to get nominated for Best Picture. That's what I'm betting on. Okay? I think one battle after another is the sure winner there. But it could be Sinners or it could be Hamnet. But I really think the fight is between one battle after another and Sinners. Best Director, I mean, it's only 5 nominees. I am banking on Paul Thomas Anderson, Ryan Coogler. Again, those are the 2 lock-ins. Paul Thomas Anderson did one battle after another. Ryan Coogler, Sinners. Chloe Zhao for Hamnet. Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme. But then it gets a little messy. I don't know if it's going to be Jafar Panini for It Was Just an Accident, which is a foreign language film. But then, Guillermo del Toro, who did Frankenstein, he's a previous winner. I could see him getting it. It's going to be interesting to see Jafar Panini or Guillermo del Toro. It's going to be between those 2 fighting for that 5th slot. Best Actor, it gets a little messy. It gets a little messy for Best Actor. I am at the edge of my seat with the nominations. I think my clear front-runner for the nomination is Timothée Chalamet. I think he's definitely going to... Oh, Best Director, I think that Paul Thomas Anderson is getting Best Director for one battle after another. People keep saying it could be Ryan Coogler. No. And we'll get to Sinners in a minute. But I think the top 5, and it's a little tough. I think Michael B. Jordan, Timothée Chalamet, and Leonardo DiCaprio are the 3 lock-ins. Like, that's the big 3. I feel like they're locked in. I feel like Timothée Chalamet, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Michael B. Jordan are going to be nominated. Those last 2 slots, it gets a little sticky for Best Actor. You got Wagner Moura for the Secret Agent, which I do think he has a really slight chance. I just can't give it to him because it's a foreign language film and they get really funny. There is a chance, so I think he can definitely get nominated, but it's still up in the air. And then Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon is another one. It's a wild card. I think Ethan Hawke could finally get a lead actor nomination after all these years, right? Remember him in Training Day. Remember him in some of the other films over the years. And there's been many people wanting him to make this Oscar comeback. He's been in so many films over the years that were worthy of a nomination. Boyhood, he got nominated for Best Supporting Actor. So he's done some things, but we need a Best Leading Actor Ethan Hawke nomination, right? So there's a chance there. But then you got Joel Edgerton, who's never been nominated for an Oscar, and Train Dreams. That looks pretty good. Maybe Jesse Plemons for Begonia. I think that's a far no, but you just never know. So if I had my 5, I would say Michael B. Jordan, Leonardo DiCaprio, Timothée Chalamet, Wagner Moura. So the V is the W is the V. Sounds like a V. Wagner Moura and Ethan Hawke. That's my 5. Best Actress, y'all, it gets really sticky for Best Actress, okay? First of all, my front runner for Best Actor is Timothée Chalamet. That's my front runner for Marty Supreme. I think he's the front runner for Best Actor. Best Actress, my front runner is Jessie Buckley for Hamnet. I think she's number 1. Now, other people who I think are going to get nominated. Rose Byrne, for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Interesting indie film. But I definitely think the 2 of them are going to definitely be lock-ins. After that, y'all, it's a wild race. I'm not going to hold you. It's a wild race. It can go in different directions. It really can. Chase Infinity and One Battle After Another, I think, is another 3rd. I've heard whispers that they might try to put her in the Best Supporting Actress category. But I feel like that category is already locked with some other people in One Battle After Another. Well, not really, actually, because I've seen them do this with, oh my goodness, Daniel Kaluuya won an Oscar for this film. It was based off of what was that film? Oh my goodness. Judas and the Black Messiah. That's what the film was. It came out 5 years ago. Judas and the Black Messiah, he played Fred Hampton. He won Best Supporting Actor, but they put Lakeith Stanfield in Best Supporting Actor, even though he was the lead. And so I thought it was an interesting play, right? It's interesting. He plays Bill O'Neill in the film. Lakeith Stanfield. He was gunning for a lead actor nomination in all the categories. His team was campaigning, but the nominees voted for him. I mean, the Academy members voted for him for a supporting actor category, and they put him in there. It didn't change the outcome. Daniel Kaluuya won Best Supporting Actor, but interesting enough, Lakeith Stanfield, who was not really getting that many awards, came in as a wild card and got the nomination for Best Supporting Actor, even though he was gunning for Best Lead Actor and wasn't getting no love in that category. So it could be a real interesting situation where I could see them throwing Chase Affinity into Best Supporting Actress, even though she's been campaigning for Lead Actress. A case can be made for it. But if that's not the case, I can see Chase, that rhymes, Chase Affinity for Best Lead Actress in that third slot. Now, the fourth slot, everybody is saying Emma Stone. I can see Emma Stone. I mean, she is the Meryl Streep of the millennial generation. Now, Meryl Streep is Meryl Streep, but Emma Stone, she's doing some interesting work. She gets tons of Oscar nominations. She is the leading actress of this young millennial generation. She is doing her big one. She's a millennial, and I would say she's the top millennial actress of the generation right now. Emma Stone is doing some things. She's already won 2 lead actress wins. She's been nominated in the acting category 2 previous times. She's got 4 Oscar acting nominations. And if she gets this nomination for Begonia for Best Actor and this one for Best Actress, she will be the youngest to get 8 Oscar nominations, but period. So she's doing some interesting things. I could see her in that 4th slot, potentially. And then to round it out, Renat Rizva for Sentimental Value might get the 5th slot. Again, that's between her and Amanda Seyfried for The Testament of Anne Lee. But I'm not seeing much movement for The Testament of Anne Lee, though. So I don't know. Amanda Seyfried has been nominated already. People have said, well, what about Kate Hudson? I don't see it for Kate Hudson. And Sung Blue, I don't see her getting nominated for that. I don't see it, y'all. I don't. But I can see Renata Reinsfeld. But like a lot of people have been saying, that there could be a chance. There could be a upset potentially. I don't know. I'm not seeing it. I'm just a little cynical, y'all. I don't know. It could be up in the air. But Best Actress overall could be up in the air, I mean, Kate Hudson did get the SAG Award nomination. But I can see, Chase Infinity, Emma Stone, Jessie Buckley, Rose Byrne. I think those 4 are lock-ins. But I don't know about Kate Hudson. I feel like Renata Restein for Sentimental Value can take that slot. I just can't see Kate Hudson getting it. But the SAG is saying something. So that's going to be a fight that we all need to pay attention to. Now, Best Supporting Actor. Best Supporting Actor is a little sticky as well. I thought that Adam Sandler might finally get an Academy Award nomination. The chances of that happening is up in the air. I think, well, first of all, let me tell you who I think going to get Best Actress. Best Lead Actress, I think Jessie Buckley is going to get it for Hamnet. Now, Best Supporting Actor, it's tough. I don't know who's going to get Best Supporting Actor. I think if I can trust my gut is telling me it's going to be Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Value. I think he's going to be the front runner for it. He won the Golden Globe. A lot of people feel like Benzino del Toro and Sean Penn cancel each other out. Now, here we go to these other categories, right? Benzino del Toro, I think everybody thinks he's a lock-in. I think Paul Mescal is a lock. And I think that's the big three. Now that bottom two gets a little slippery. Sean Penn, I feel like we could say Sean Penn might get in there, right? But then that fifth slot is very awkward. I feel like Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein is given a good look. Now, Paul Mescal was in Hamlet, for those who didn't see Hamlet. It's on Peacock. You can watch it on Peacock. It's pretty good. Sean Penn, in One Bow After Another, is looking pretty good. Jacob Elordi is also looking good in Frankenstein. He won the Critics' Choice Award. It's looking good for him. Now, when I look at the SAG Awards, Jacob Elordi was nominated. Benicio del Toro, Paul Mescal, and Sean Penn were nominated, right? Now, who was left out? Stellan Skarsgård. Whatever reason, that foreign language film was not included in that category. But now I'm curious of like, what is that fifth slot going to? Now, what's interesting was that Adam Sandler was not in the conversation either. Miles Catton was nominated for playing Sammy Moore in Sinners over Delroy Lindo. For Miles Catton, who got nominated for Best Supporting Actor at the SAG Awards, that's very telling. And so I'm kind of trying to figure out, will the Oscars pull a surprise nomination for Sinners and Best Supporting Actor? We don't see it coming, but could they pull that surprise like the SAG Awards did? It's an interesting dynamic. You just never know. You never know. They could pull that surprise upset in that category. I don't know. We got to stay woke. But I will say the SAG Awards really loved Sinners. Like, everybody got nominated in respective categories except lead actress. There's no lead actress in Sinners, so that wasn't too surprising. But supporting actor and actress got nominations in Sinners. And most people have been leaving them out of the supporting and supporting actress category. So it's very interesting. There's going to be something's weird going to happen in Best Supporting Actress. Stay tuned. I feel like Stellan Skarsgård is getting nominated. I think Benicio del Toro is a lock, and I think Paul Mescal was good. But those other two, I don't know if Sean Penn might take a loss. But then again, I want to bet on Sean Penn. I think Sean Penn might be good to go to. But that fifth slot, I don't know. Jacob Elordi looks good. But Adam Sandler, I thought he was looking good, but he looks like he didn't fill out. But they might tell Jacob Elordi bye and put Miles Cannon in that position. I don't know. Stay tuned on that. And then lastly, we're going to do Best Supporting Actress, and then we're going to move on. But Best Supporting Actress, I think, well, let me get to Best Supporting Actor. I think the front runner for that will be Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Value. That's my safe pick. Now, Best Supporting Actress, this is a fight. I would say it would be that the front runner is Tiana Taylor for One Bow After Another. That's what they want you to think. But don't y'all sleep on Amy Madigan for Weapons. I think those two are in a fight for that supporting actress slot. Okay? I just feel it in my bones. I feel it in my bones that Best Supporting Actress slot, that fight is between Amy Madigan for Weapons and Tiana Taylor for One Bow After Another. I think Tiana Taylor for One Bow After Another has the edge because she's in a film that everyone's watching and everyone's talking about. And people like Tiana Taylor. And I think that there is some good buzz for her, some good juju for her. Now, that third slot, everyone say Ariana Grande for Wicked for Good. I think that if Wicked for Good is going to get a nomination, they will get a nomination in Best Supporting Actress. It's a little sad because at one point in time, I thought that maybe, just maybe, right, Cynthia Erivo can make history and do something great. It's not happening for her. I think her chance of being nominated for Best Lead Actress is out the window. She's just been snubbed from a lot of categories. I just don't see her pulling an upset in there. But who is going to be consistent? I can see Ariana Grande getting nominated for a second consecutive time for Best Supporting Actress for playing Glinda the Good Witch in Wicked for Good. I think she has that third slot. Now, those last two slots, I don't know. It can go so many different ways, y'all. It really can. Okay. Some people could argue that Igna Ibodatsa Linnaeus, she is in sentimental value. A lot of people say she's the bold standout in a supporting role. Some people thought that Elle Fanning and her could both get the 2 slots. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Academy of voters are going to split them. I don't think they're going to let the 2 of them get nominated in that category. I think one of them will miss. Everyone is saying that Elle Fanning might miss. Now, I don't know because Elle Fanning is more known, right? Elle Fanning, this is Dakota Fanning's sister, but Elle Fanning has made a name for herself. She was in a complete unknown. A lot of people felt like she should have got nominated last year for that, alongside of who? Who's that? Timothy Chalamet, who got the Oscar nomination last year for playing Bob Dylan in that film. I don't know. I'm not sold on Elle Fanning. I feel like Academy voters might say, you know what? She's been given consistent good work. She's been a lot of great things over the years. Let's give her a nomination. Because I don't know Igna that well. This would be her first nomination. But she is the standout, more dynamic role in sentimental value. So if there was one person to get it, it would be her. But the Oscars, the Academy doesn't play fair. So I'm not betting on her. Also, you have Wunmi Mosaku, who is a strong supporting performance in Sinners. Okay, she plays the love interest of Michael B. Jordan's character. I've been rooting for her the moment I saw her performance. I love that people are bringing her back into the conversation. She got a SAG nomination, which is pretty good. Again, Tiana Taylor, Amy Madigan, and Ariana Grande got a SAG nominations as well. They also got the Golden Globe nomination. They also got the Critics' Choice Award nominations. I think those 3 are locked in. Those other 2, it goes up and down all around. So Wunmi Mosaku did not get nominated at the Golden Globes. Now, interesting enough, Igna and Elle Fanning, both of them did not get nominated at the SAG. Okay, which then opened up the last 2 slots for 2 other actresses. Now, that was Wunmi from Sinners, but also Odessa Azion for Marty Supreme. Now, I don't really buy that Marty Supreme's other actors will get nominated. I'm not sold on it. Now, that happened for Odessa at SAG, okay? But she has not been nominated at the Golden Globes. She has not been nominated at I don't even think she got nominated at the Critics. I don't really see her getting in that slot. I feel, if I was a betting man, that Wunmi is going to get that nomination for Best Supporting Actress. I think she's going to pull it off. I think she's going to be the surprise on that Thursday morning. I think we're going to be very happy that she got that nomination. Watch this space. Watch that category. It could go left. But I have a sense that she will get the 4th slot. And I do think one of the sentimental value actresses, I don't know. I can see it going in multiple ways. It could be Elle Fanning if they like her. On merit, it's going to be Igna. But one of those sentimental value actresses are going to get it. And I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think Odessa's going to get it. I think Marty Supreme is Marty Supreme. It is Timothy Chalamet. I think he's going to get the lead actor Oscar. I think he's the front runner for it. I think he is the show, and I think that's going to be their acting win, their nomination lock-in. I don't think they're going to get 2 nominations. I don't see it happening. I don't. I think Sentimental Value will take that 5th slot. I think she will be close, but she will not get into the 5th box. So those are my predictions, y'all. There's other categories, but I feel like acting is what y'all care about, director and best picture. We'll see. I think that Sinners have a great chance of making history, being the most nominated film of all time. I think they might get 15 nominations. They might even get more, but I think 15 nominations is what they have a strong chance of getting, and I think they're going to be the most nominated film in Oscar history. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, will they win anything? I think they will win some things, y'all, okay? Chill. I think that they will get Best Original Screenplay. I think that Ryan Coogler is going to be a lock-in for Best Original Screenplay. I think that's going to happen for him. I think we need to keep the faith. He will get up on that stage. He is going to be happy, and he is going to celebrate. I think that the Sinners will not be snubbed out of everything, okay? A lot of y'all are already ready to throw up your hands, and because y'all don't know nothing about these films. Y'all don't understand how it works. Sinners is the front runner to win Best Original Screenplay, and Ryan Coogler is going to get up on that stage, and he's going to win. He's going to be happy, okay? And we're all going to be rooting for him, and we're going to be so excited for him, okay? That's going to happen. Mark my fucking words. It's happening, all right? That's what's going to happen in original screenplay. Best adapted screenplay, Paul Thomas Anderson is going to win that for one battle after another. He is going to win 3 Oscars. We're going to see that man get up 3 times. Best picture, best director, best adapted screenplay. He's going to have it. And y'all got to remember something. Paul Thomas Anderson has never won an Academy Award. He has nominated so many films, have gotten nominated so many times. This is his moment. Okay? I think Ryan Coogler is going to have a moment. This is not it, but this is close for him. But he will get an Oscar, though. He's going to win in Best Original Screenplay. He is going to win. The only person next to him is Marty Supreme. I don't think that's going to happen. Sentimental value, nothing compares. They're going to give it to him. And I think Sinners will win. I think there's a good chance it can win Best Cinematography. I think that it's going to win Best Cinematography. But I think, and maybe Best casting. I think the casting will get a win. I think that there's a strong chance for that. So I want people to keep the faith. Don't be so quick to think that we're not going to win anything. I think Team Sinners will be okay. I think there's going to be some wins. So that's my thoughts. Those are my thoughts. But gear up. All this rhetoric though around Sinners, like understand y'all that Sinners are not going to walk home empty-handed. Sinners are going to win some things. And some of the things that Sinners are winning awards for, it's not being televised. So, for example, Sinners won Best Score, and I think they're going to win Best Score at the Academy Awards. But that category did not get announced for everybody to see. So we didn't see it win for that. But I think there's a good chance it's going to win Best Score as well. There will be some wins for Sinners at the Academy Awards. There's so many categories, y'all. Like, keep the faith, okay? It's not going to win Best Picture. You never know. It's not going to win Best Actor for Michael B. Jordan. And I wish people would actually watch Marty Supreme and understand that Timothée Chalamet is phenomenal in that film. You don't have to like his character because it's not about liking his character, but it is a show-stopping performance. Like, he is the movie. And I think he's so much the movie that everybody else does not meet his energy. With Sinners, that was a truly ensemble film. Like, everybody brought their A game. You know, everybody brought their best to the film. And I think that's just a great ensemble film. I think Sinners is going to win that best casting. Now, on to music. I got so many things. I mean, for starters, this Nelly and Ludacris Rock the Country MAGA-esque type of showcase. Are we surprised about Nelly? Nelly is selling us out. Ludacris pulled out the show. We're not going to even talk about Luda. You pulled out. We're going to, kudos to you, right? But Nelly is Nelly. Nelly is who he is, okay? Nelly wants to make money. Nelly is a light trumper. Ashanti knows what she's doing. We're not going to not take women's agency. That is a choice. It is what it is. We can still like her and know that, dating-wise, she's dating people that we don't care for. But that's what it's been. She knows Nelly in and out. That is a choice. Nelly is choosing to be dense, like, and obtuse, like, make your money, but fuck you. And we didn't forget about those rape allegations, numerous rape allegations that this man has had. So, it is what it is there. J. Cole's The Fallout album is coming. Another boring artist. Is 2026 the year of boring artists coming back to music? I don't know. Beyonce, drop Act 3. Take us out of our misery. We need substance. We need something. I'm all of the dry, boring, but I guess talented artists are back. And they're back with preachy or safe, innocuous music. I'm not really caring about this J. Cole Fall Off album. I didn't even know J. Cole still had fans. I guess he do. But I've never been like hyper crazy about J. Cole. When I was younger, he was more tolerable. But over the years, was it Born Sinner? I think it was. Like, after that album, I just kind of am like, okay. Forest Hill Drives, okay. But I just feel like he's just one of those, like, ooh, that might be a little too crass for this podcast. But I just feel like, I will just say there's always a certain type of Black musician or person that I feel like for whatever their external aesthetic is giving, they feel like they have to be more hyper masculine. They have to be a certain type of way to prove their Blackness. Is it rooted in colorism? Is it rooted in racial insecurities, ambiguities around their identities and being mixed race? I don't know, but I always feel like there is this sense of some artists that I think feel like they have to put on a certain like vibe. And I feel like J. Cole, I'm not questioning his Blackness. I just feel like his artistry has always felt a lot more performative than it needs to be. It feels more preachy than it needs to be. It just feels like what he laments about isn't as deep as he would like it to be. Like, I feel like some of his gripes just does not seem to be as deep, but we all feel like it is because of his aesthetic and how he sounds. I've never fully found him convincing. Like, I just feel like the way in which he has mixed up his sound and music, I feel like it's time. And I heard this is his last album, and Godspeed, Jeremiah. Okay? Godspeed, Jeremiah. Like, Godspeed. Like, put this album out. Your fans will love it. The fans that you have, and I guess you do have fans. I'm not crazy about it, but we're good. We're good. Kendrick will take it from here. Others will as well. I just feel like that era of rap music that he was trying to, I guess, reinvigorate is just, we're good. We're good. Because the problem is, I think, with some of these conscious rappers, and I say that in parentheses a little bit sarcastically, is that so much of their opinions and consciousness to the music never really shows itself outside of the music. I think that's my struggle. Like, where are y'all at any other time in the world? Making your money, acting like you're a everyday person, like washing a six-figure, $600,000 Lamborghini car, going to Waffle House, acting like you're dope, even though you got the best healthcare insurance known to man. Like, I just feel like that whole aesthetic, it does not work if you're not really invested. I'm not saying J. Cole does not give a fuck about community. I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying that where we're at in this current economy, in this current world, if you're going to be that artist, are you speaking to the time we're in now? And how are you showing beyond the booth in the studio? Like, I don't care about you paying little shots about Jay-Z. I just feel like so much of his whines and laments are like so diary entry and so frivolous to the larger issues happening right now in the world. And if your music is supposed to feel like that, where are you in that? It cannot just be so internalized pay disputes. Look, Jay-Z's not my favorite rapper, but I can say honestly that so many people have held him to a standard, and he has matched some of that elements of that standard. Like, people have demanded more from him, and he has shown up and have delivered to a certain extent. I just feel like other rappers that preach certain things, we don't really give them that same standard. And I guess heavy lies the crown for the king of rap. But it's just too much. I don't know. I just wish that there was more action that matched the lyricism of J. Cole. And so, that's how I feel about it. A$AP Rocky, I don't really care about this new album. Y'all, I really don't. He's kind of cute, right? He's got style. But I don't really care for this. Like, he's got an album called Don't Be Dumb. It's a new album by him. I mean, he performed at Saturday Night Live. I mean, I'm just going to always look at him as like, this is Rihanna's boyfriend. He's a Libra, but like Rakim Myers, don't do it for me. He's cute. But like, I just don't take him seriously as an artist. I really don't. His style is cool. I think he's more of a pop cultural figure. It's kind of like the Sierra. Well, I'm not even going to do Sierra like that because Sierra just had hits on top of hits. I don't really feel like A$AP Rocky ever like reached like a high level of like, listen, he's got some songs. I mean, there's some songs, but like, I don't really feel like he's produced that many hits and consistent music to justify the way that people talk about him in rap music. Like, is it like, I get why people talk about him on a pop cultural level. Like, as a pop culture figure, I do feel like he's iconic in that way. Like, ASAP Rocky is a pop cultural figure. Like, he's done some interesting things in fashion, just some of his own antics. His colorism is a mess. He's, his relationship with Rihanna. I mean, all of the various things. He's acting. He's been in a Spike Lee film. Like, I mean, he's done some things on the larger scale that warrants his relevance. I'm not doubting that about him. I mean, he's relevant, right? But I feel like music-wise, there isn't much substance there. I can't think of a real conversation around his music that made me feel like he was a serious hip-hop heavyweight. Like, I feel like he's done that one song, like, oh my goodness, it was like over, 10 years ago? Fucking Problem. Okay, cool. It was a cute little song. What other songs he had? I mean, I mean, fucking Problem came out in 2012. It's been like 13 years, y'all. Like, it was a cool song. Fashion Killer. I remember Fashion Killer. That was cute. I mean, he might have other songs, right? But, and I'm not saying he don't. I've heard other songs like Peso, maybe. But like, I just don't feel like he's put out. And listen, there are some like little circles and cults of people that might know his music. Like, for example, Young Boy Never Broke Again, whatever they call him, that guy. Apparently he's broke the record for having the most like certified songs. And a lot of people like his music, but like his fans know him, but like he is apparently the most certified rapper of all time. Okay. The recording, the RIAA gave him that distinction with his 8th album, Slime Cry. I didn't even know about this album, but Young Boy Never Broke Again, I guess, Young Boy NBA, I guess some people call him. He's the most certified rapper of all time. He's broken his record. He's got the most RIAA certifications. I don't even know if I know. I don't even know if I know a song by him. I've heard of the name, but I don't think I know a song by him. I don't listen to his music. I couldn't tell you. The man's dropped like 8 something mixtapes in the past several years. I mean, everything is streaming. The fans stream it religiously, so he gets these platinum certifications. He's got a cult following, but like I don't know where any of his music has hit mainstreamdom. So I just feel like that's where we are in music, where you can have this like cult following of people that know you, and you could be legendary, and people will like not know you. I mean, he has surpassed Drake and Jay-Z and Kanye on this front. But I know more Kanye, more Drake, more Jay-Z songs. I just think music is just so weird now. Like, and I think it's really the streaming shit, because now super mega fans and stans can do all types of tricks to get the music to go. But like, come on, it's just interesting, just very telling. So we got a lot going on there. Yeah. And also, I want to say this. I don't really like this ASAP diss track towards Drake talking about you stole my flow, I stole your bitch. Rihanna is a woman, a black woman, and I just feel like to throw that type of cheap shot that even comes at your girl, like, why even get into that? Like, you stole her from him? You stole Rihanna? I mean, I think Rihanna doesn't give a fuck. She's probably somewhere laughing at it all. But I just feel like, I don't know. I think it's completely cringe. And I know rap has its moments, but that's just a little cringe for me. Moving on. So with music, I'm really feeling the fact that Jocelyn Hernandez came out recently and said that she's been off cocaine. Now, she didn't say cocaine. She said that white girl, but that's how she described the Tina, which is another term for coke. Christina Aguilera is another term for describing pure white coke. That white girl is what they call it, but it's coke, and I don't want to call it that. But she's talking about she's off cocaine. For a while, for many years ago, Jocelyn had a history of this very erratic, violent behavior, and many people assume that there might have been drugs at play here. Well, she's come out to say she's been sober and clean for quite some time, and she's been taking care of her body. And, I've been watching, now I feel better watching Zeus and watching her on Jocelyn Cabaret's California reunion, because she seems to be more tame. She seems not to be driven by something else going on. Like, it just seems like she's been drug free, and it's happy to hear. So there's a nice update about that. Abbott Elementary is continuing to be fire. This has been a great season. Of course, I love Abbott Elementary. So good. I mean, the show is just consistent, and I love that about it. I love its consistency. I love that for us. It's been 5 seasons of this show, and apparently the next episode, upcoming this Wednesday, will feature the Philadelphia Inquirer. Apparently there's going to be a reporter, but apparently it's not a real Inquirer reporter. It's someone who is, I guess, a supporter of it or what. I don't know how the details are, but there's an actor playing an Inquirer reporter on the show, but there's not an Inquirer. I don't think they're going to be in the building or anything like that, but apparently they're going to be featured in some type of way or referenced or mentioned in some type of way. So stay tuned with that. Euphoria is coming back. People have mixed reviews. The cast is older, which I hope that some of y'all who were so hype about them in high school, they're older. The stakes are higher. They've grown up. There's marriages. There's drugs. The trailer is loaded with a lot of details. Jacob Elordi's back. Sydney Sweeney's back. Of course, Zendaya, who is the 2-time Best Lead Actress Emmy-winning Zendaya, back as her character Rue. Other people are back. Some new cameos, some new faces. Coleman Domingo is back. There's going to be some interesting castmates and members. I've never gotten into Euphoria. I'm just not really into these like teenage, brutal, young high school shows. I'm just so grown up out of that phase. Look, I've seen enough Degrassi to live a lifetime. I know this is no Degrassi, clearly, but I don't know. I feel like shows like that is just too much. It's like substance abuse, yelling, streaming, and I'm all for drama, but I feel like if this would have just been a movie, I would have been more down for it versus like putting myself through this painful show. That has raw, great acting and humor and thoughts, but it's just so, I don't know. It's just not my cup of tea. But it's coming this spring. My youngest brother loves this show, apparently. And I'm just like, you are like about to be 16. What is Euphoria doing for you? But, you know, it is what it is. So, before we wrap up, I'm looking forward to the week ahead. I got my public speaking event, for MLK Day, on Monday evening. I am going to see a great musical or play. I think it's a play. I'm debating what it is this week with my younger brother, which is exciting. I got some other public speaking events and some public events this week. I'm out here. This week I got a lot, y'all. I'm outside. I'm outside. I'm looking at some of the places I'm going to be at this week. I got something on the calendar, every day except Friday, which is great because I'm going to spend Friday, again, continuing to write my book. So that's what I'm going to be doing this week, this Friday. But I think every day of the week, there's some action going on. Wednesday, I'm only teaching one day next week, which is Wednesday, which is pretty good, so I can breathe. Tuesday is going to be intense. Monday is going to, as y'all know, Monday is like MLK Day, as y'all know. It's so much going on. Tuesday is chilling. I'm looking at my calendar. Well, no, Tuesday's action-packed, actually. I have a speaking engagement. I'm talking to some students about incel behavior at a high school, which is going to be fascinating. Talking about online incel culture. So that should be fun. And then, yeah, it's going to be a lot going on. Then next week is Grammys. So I'll be getting ready for the Grammys week. So that's coming up too. So it's going to be an interesting week. It's going to be an interesting remainder of this week as we get into February, y'all. These last 2 weeks is action packed, but I wouldn't have it any other way because it's always good to have something to do in a productive and positive way. And as always, be well and be best.
Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.